Greetings, fellow geeks, nerds, and sweaties alike. Tiki here.
And Blue Dragon 5.
And welcome to a trip report of epic proportions. It is Dragon's trip to Baltimore Comic-Con 2019. Now, Dragon, we've been doing these for the past few years now. You've been hitting you with kind of some A-list stars that you've gotten to see, some of the cool ones over the years. Of course, we've seen, help me out here, Haley Atwell, the cast of Gotham, primarily David Mazouz and Sean Pertwee.
Yep.
Some of the other big ones, Dragon.
Ming-Na Wen, the voice of Mulan, as well as
Sure.
Melinda May from Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., Paul Blackthorne. Stefan Kapusik, of course, the Colossus.
Oh yes. That was the best story you've had in these so far, Dragon. That was delightful.
Yes. Oh, it's that one. That was a great one.
But does anything in 2019 stack up to that? We'll just have to wait to find out. So, Dragon, let's do it, my friend. The floor is yours. I'm excited to hear about this. Of course, I am going in spoiler-free. Literally, the only guest that I knew was going to be here was the real Manos, and I knew he wasn't going to work into your plan. So I was like, all right, I don't know literally anyone else who's going to be here. So, Dragon, floor is yours. I'm just along for the ride, and by all means, regale us with your story, sir.
All right, buckle up. It's going to be a fun ride here because I did throw in a little
buckaroo.
I did throw a little narrative spin on things here, so I think.
Oh no! Do you have like a non-traditional plot structure?
I won't say non-traditional, but I will say there's a little spin on it. We'll get there when we get there. You'll see. All right. So Baltimore Comic-Con.
Now I want to write a trip report as if Christopher Nolan were writing a trip report. Dragon.
You think you've done a trip report before, my friend? Hold my beer, so to speak. I'm gonna show you how trip report's really done.
Let's do it.
Okay, buckle up. All right. So Baltimore Comic-Con 2019. So this, of course, 2019 was apparently it was the 20th anniversary of the Baltimore Comic-Con this year.
Nice.
Now, I will say this overall, it was a little smaller than I expected. They didn't really tout out the whole 20th anniversary thing. But let me put it this way: 20th anniversary was everywhere, as you can kind of see by our little kind of root image here. They've been touting off, hey, it's the 20th anniversary, but they weren't really kind of basking in it. Let's say the turnout. I'm not gonna say the turnout was. I guess it was a little smaller than expected, but you got to bear in mind there were a few cancellations along the way. Apparently, the one that really bummed me out most, Sean Gordon Murphy, was supposed to show up, and this guy would have been my Snyder this year, man. He would have been I would have been drooling for this guy because Sean Murphy wrote one of the best Batman stories I've read in years. He wrote, I shouldn't say in years, but I'm saying at least since Snyder did all his stuff with Batman. Sean Murphy wrote White Knight. I know I've gushed about White Knight before. White Knight is since Dark Knight, a true Batman story. Since that Paul Dini novel you and I talked about, it's like the most fascinating Batman thing I've read, White Knight, the original. They're doing a sequel to it right now, but the first one, Tiki, oh my goodness, one of the best Batman stories you're going to read. So he did not show up.
If I'm looking into a good Batman story, I'll keep it in mind.
So again, he didn't show up, which kind of bummed me out because he was supposed to, and to be fair, though, he was like an early cancellation. They months ago. I've been prepping for the Comic-Con for months. For a few months out, it's coming, and then it's kind of in the back of your mind. Then as the months get close, okay, I got to basically pull out the stuff I want to get signed. You're gonna look at the guest list, which basically the guest list keeps growing until the week of, essentially. So it's keeps growing until they print the program, which is put up, let's say, maybe 2 to 3 weeks before the con. All right.
Uh-huh.
So until then, I'm on my toes, and you're getting stuff out. But even as far as you plan things, there are still going to be some surprises along the way, which we're going to get to. I studied the map, I studied the events, the panels, tried to, budget my time, my budget literally, and all that sort of stuff. Try to get everything in order. And my game plan overall was to make Sunday as short and easy as possible. Because my father, as per tradition, my father accompanies me on Sunday. My father, he doesn't like walking around that much. Shouldn't say that, but it's more like in the convention, it's a long walk, let's say. Again, as I mentioned, I think I estimated how many steps I took that last year, but the point being, it's a long walk. So my point is that was kind of my goal to make things easier on my father for Sunday.
Gotcha.
And honestly, I kind of budgeted things out because again, a few cancellations happened. So I surprisingly had a lighter amount of things than I usually would have to get signed. So this year I kind of had a little bit more kind of leeway with me. At least I thought. We'll see how that goes.
Oh boy.
To get it signed, comparatively to previous years. So that was my main goal. Okay, yeah, the goal is always get everything signed. Goal two, meet all the media guests, and then I wanted to get this print that has eluded me for years. Neil Adams, one of the Hall of Famer Batman artists, the man that gave us Ra's al Ghul, the man who got Jerry Siegel and Joe Shuster their name on Superman. Neil Adams, hero to the comic book artist, legend in the industry. I've met the man before, been lucky to. Storyteller extraordinaire. Man can't write to save his life, but the man can draw and tell you and sell you on any story as the day is long. I got nothing but respect for Neil Adams. That's an important note to hit, kids. So Neil Adams, he did a print of the famous Batman Talia kiss, because I've always loved Batman Talia al Ghul together. I've always wanted this print. And I tried getting it last year, but it was sold out. So this year, of course, when he lays out all the prints at his giant table, I was going to get that print. It was on the back of my mind through all 3 days. We're going to see how that goes too. It's another little flag to plant there, kiddies. So of course, so again, remember this: Neil Adams print, getting the stuff signed, and meeting our very special media guest. There weren't a lot of really special ones, but there was one.
There was one very special one. Okay.
One very, very special guest. Okay, kids. Now we're going to go through.
Gotcha. Okay.
Okay, so we're going to go through 3 days here, but let's just say the third day, I'm going to put a little bit of a spin on it, so buckle up. Okay,
Ooh.
Friday.
Dragon, first of all, there's one thing I want you to set the stage on for all the new listeners out there.
Okay.
And that is, I don't want to call them the antagonist of this ongoing series of trip reports, but the obstacle, Dragon.
Oh, there are obstacles, believe me.
But would you like to first off, just so we know what we're talking about and we're on the same terms in terms of vocabulary, would you like to explain red shirts?
I was going there. There's a fun spin I was going to put on that later, but I'll set the stage for it. Okay, so folks, in every year at the Comic-Con, you have kind of the handlers and and basically kind of the con attendants, if you will. Like the volunteers, the people who volunteer probably aren't paid much, if at all, honestly. The guys who are there just basically put on like a uniform colored shirt, as in everyone who works the con, who's like part of the staff, are wearing the same colored shirt. That color changes every year. Like when Kevin Smith was there, they wore movie colors, as in like purple and yellow. And then last year it was red, and I kind of nicknamed them the red shirts that year. They were kind of the bane of my existence, because the idea, folks, a lot of these people I'd like to think are well-meaning, but let's face it, everyone has a different piece of information. People are there like they're told the cap lines at a certain point. The line is capped. That's kind of doomsday for some people, because it's like, no, I can't get that person signed. Maybe they're only there for a day or so out of the 3 days. And the point being, nobody knows everything, and they're all operating on different information, which sometimes can be very antagonistic. Sometimes they can be helpful, sometimes well-meaning, sometimes in the middle. Usually none of them know nothing. So that's kind of what we're dealing with.
Kind of social anxiety I don't need in my life, Dragon. This is why I don't do cons.
Again, look, they're perfectly harmless. It's just they're a little annoying sometimes. That's the thing. But again, I'll tell you this. I didn't have a problem with them till a certain day. Okay, that's the thing. That's what I'm saying. I was, and I gave them a new nickname for the color they had this year. We're gonna have to wait to find out. I gave them a cutesy nickname. We're gonna get there.
Gotcha.
Okay, so we're gonna start with Friday. So Friday, of course, I like to dress up a little per Comic-Con. Not full costume, because honestly, if any year I could have gotten away with it, would be this year, because they moved the con from what it usually is. Usually the con is more towards the summer. It's either in July or September. This year they moved it to October, which really bummed me out, because it would have been more convenient if it were a month earlier, but moved it to October, and the weather was not as kind and forgiving. Let's just say it was a little colder than expected, and again, we'll get to Sunday when we get there. Anyway, so I'm decked out in my Batman for day one, because we had a Batman-related guest, I'll say that much. The big guest is Batman-related. I had a shirt, had my utility belts I like to bring, and of course, inside one of the pockets of my utility belt, I like to bring my GCPD badge.
Nice.
Like to work into a few photos as well, especially like if I get a picture next to a Batman, I like to hold out the old GCPD shield if I can. So it's also I have to get a top loader. So a top loader is like when you have a baseball card, you put in like this little plastic thing. You know what I'm talking about?
Oh yeah, sure.
So they make big versions of a top loader. It's the same principle, it's just bigger for posters and so on and so forth. As you bring these, The biggest one I had last year, though, had a hole in it, which I remember mentioning during the last trip, was like things were falling out of it, which is very inconvenient, especially if you're trying to, if you're doing a convention. So I had to get a new one. And I went to my comic shop, and unfortunately, they brought it all to the convention, so I could not get it because I waited till essentially the day before the Comic Con. So I had to get that while I was there. But the point being, I got the top loader, so no problems there. It's got for my guys at the convention. So the top loader, I will remind you though, because I had the biggest size of top loader they had. It's like 18 by, I think it's 18 by 12 inches, something like that. Big old top loader, huge. And again, the thing with any top loader, period, but especially with a giant one like this, they're a help in that you can put posters of almost any size in the thing. Hindrance, big time, and that you can't lean. You're always going to be paranoid that the art inside is always supposed to be safe on principle, but you're always paranoid, like, am I creasing it? Am I bending? Because the thing will always fall over. Because I have this roller bag, it'll never stay up. You either have to hold it, which again, you can only have so many hands. It's just it's inconvenient, but it's also a help. It's frustrating. So the top loader is always the bane.
Sounds like anxiety that I don't need in my life.
Top loader, bane of my existence, but also a necessity because you always have to bring. Otherwise, you're gonna have to buy a top loader there. It's a whole thing. Anyway, okay, so
hashtag Waitiki doesn't do cons.
Anyway, so okay, so let's see. So the plan on day one, the plan for all 3 days is I have to hit Tom King. So Tom King is the guy who took over for Snyder on the Bat Book. Excellent writer. Again, he's the guy I've mentioned him before. And Tom King is an excellent writer. So he's the new Snyder. He's the busiest line of Comic-Con for the DC writers. And they put all the Batman writers around. They corral them around a table. I mentioned the other bane of my existence, the sketched art people. They were cool this year, though. They were just there doing their jobs, no issues there. But the point is, all the Batman writers are now they've gone commercial. Let's say they all charge for a signature beyond their freebies. Thankfully, Tom King does a freebie. He does. You get the book limit of 2 free, then the rest you get charged for. Unfortunately, that's what the business is now. Good news, Tom King actually had one of his artist buddies. Basically, Tom King teams up with a variety of artists per the book. Whatever's right for the story, right for the issue. This year he had Mitch Gerard, who is a great artist. He worked on with Mr. Miracle. So, by the way, of course, Tom King looks a little like so. Tom King. All right. So that's Tom King. Point being,
I like the Batman and Superman action figures, and then Green Lanterns just passed out.
Exactly. So Tom King, also a lovely guy. Really cool thing about Tom King, ex-CIA man. He was an I believe a CIA analyst. Oh. Yeah, because he didn't start off writing Batman. He started off doing this Nightwing book, where basically Nightwing, Dick Grayson became a secret agent, which is based off his CIA experience, and then he basically kind of went to the Bat Book, and he's supposed to do 100 issues. He got capped off at 85, but he's going to be doing this series that's going to balance it. I'm sorry, I'm boring you all with all this Tom King.
No. That's actually really interesting.
Oh yeah, Tom King though he kind of, I'm not going to say he got fired off the book, and we say they preempted him, but they gave him closure. He's doing like a mini series to kind of get to the 100 issues he was going to do anyway. So all is fine. Point being, so I get the Tom King's line. I go in there, we get to Tom King's line, and usually a line snakes around and ends up at the wall. Thankfully, I got there bright and early as early as I can get in the place without getting a VIP.
Dragon, did you rope drop it?
I rope dropped. I didn't VIP rope drop it, but I rope dropped it. Sure.
Okay. So you rope dropped it as much as you could within the budget.
Yes, as much as I do a 3-day pass, so I'm there all 3 days, obviously. So they basically cut you a break on the 3rd day, essentially. If you buy a 3-day pass, they kind of lower the price a little bit on the 3rd day. That's kind of the gimmick.
Gotcha.
Anyway, so like VIPs get an hour early. So basically, those guys are always going to be in front of you. But beyond that, that's right there. So basically, like if there's usually a line will snake around 3 times and then it'll go to a wall. I was there in like the second part of the snakes. Point being, I hit it decently. Okay, so I'm there. I'm waiting. I picked the right books because I had to pick through all the Tom Kings. I know I'm never going to get all the Tom. I can't bring all my Tom King books because that's like $5 a book after you get the first 2 signed per person. So I bring a couple of my buddies. And basically we have like 2 books a piece. I'm getting like roughly 6 books signed for free, and that's cool. And I had to pick the right books because I can hit both of them at the same time. I can hit Tom King and Gerard at the same time, so I can basically multitask with the signatures I get. So I had to be really strategic about which books I pick. So I got the right books picked out. to meet the limit. While I'm waiting in line, I go to one of the neighboring guys at the Batman table. They're all corralled at the same area, and basically walk around like, oh, there's my other guy. So I go to Lee Weeks. Lee Weeks, one of my favorite artists that Tom King's worked with. Lee Weeks is kind of like he's David Mazzucchelli incarnate. Like this guy draws like the year one style of Batman. He's wonderful. This guy's been around, man. I didn't really get to chat with him last year when I met him for the first time, but this year again, he had no line whatsoever. Just walked up to the guy. It was really nice. He kind of I had 3 books to get signed by Lee Weeks. One of them was one of the Tom King books I was going to get signed the other line. But my point is, he and I got a little nostalgic over one of his books where he kind of pointed out like, oh yeah, that book, that's one of my favorites. It's called Batman the Gauntlet, where it's about Robin. Basically, before Batman swore in Robin, he put him to the test to make sure he could cut it as Robin. It's like a one and done story where Robin is kind of being put through like the ringer before he gets officially sworn. Like you swear on the souls of your parents, that sort of thing. And anyways, he actually comped me that book because he informed me that he has a limit now, which he didn't before. Basically, again, if it's because he's part of the sketched art people now, apparently, which explains why he's at that table now. Where if it's beyond 2 books, then he has to charge. But he was feeling so nostalgic over the book, he didn't charge me. He says, "You know what? Don't worry about it." I was pulling out my wall, like, okay, like, I got to get it signed because I had a moment over the thing. Yeah, I should definitely get it signed. Anyway, it was really sweet of him. Then I hit Klaus Janson, who was one of the additional artists and inkers on I believe inkers as well, but he was one of the additional artists on Dark Knight Returns. I got him to sign Dark Knight Returns #2. He works with Frank Miller a lot, so I got him to sign my issue of Dark Knight Returns. Out of the 4, I have 2 signed. That's really cool. I don't have 1 or 3, the big Joker issue or the big first issue, but got that done. I saw Marv Wolfman. He wrote Lonely Place for Dying. That's about Batman feeling depressed about Jason Todd after his death and then moving on to the next Robin, Tim Drake. Really good story. Marv Wolfman, creator of the Teen Titans, one should also note. I gotta tell you, Marv Wolfman. I gotta tell you, part of me felt a little sad meeting Marv Wolfman again. In that Wolfman, I think he's losing a step, man. He's getting up there. It just feels like I tried chatting him up, but I gotta tell you, it's kind of a shame to see some of the greats go.
Yeah, I hear you.
So, anyways, getting back to Tom King. So I get back to the Tom King line again. I'm up there. I get the stuff signed. I have a little conversation with Tom King. Super nice. The guy, like the media, you get in front of the guy, says, "Hi, I'm Tom. How are you?" He's so pleasant.
Nice.
Very nice, man. He and I gave him my profuse thanks because that little issue, that little capper to his 85 issues, like the 12 issues he's doing afterwards. The big story of that 12 issues, because his whole run is predicated on Batman and Catwoman's relationship. Them almost getting married, the whole shebang there. The last little PS to his whole story is going to be him bringing in the Phantasm into the continuity.
Ooh.
So I thanked him profusely. He told me the best thing I could ever hear. He says the movie happened. It's like basically he's going to say that he's going to write for the first time ever. He's going to basically write the movie into the comics.
Nice, man. That's great.
I was already excited. Like they were bringing the Phantasm made an appearance here and there in like Batman Beyond in the comics because it was based on the animated thing. The point being like Phantasm is like he's writing into the official stuff. Like,
but no, it's just like in canon. Just like, yep, that's in. You know what? If any like side piece of Batman media should be like in canon, like in the annals of like this is what Batman is, it should be Phantasm.
That's what I'm saying, and he delighted me. He said the Joker's going to they're going to address a little bit of the Joker's role in Phantasm in this story. It's like, yes, Tom King made me so happy. So Tom King is just delightful. So then we get to the big. So again, around the Batman table, it's right next to the media center, basically where all the media guests are. We get the autographs, you get the photos taken, all that sort of stuff.
Is there like a big looming face in this media center that you're just like checking the line, like, oh God, he's in there, and I'm very intimidated.
Well, it's not intimidating because here's the thing. So like I'm in this line. I'm like at the vantage point where basically I can look over because that person isn't there yet. I'm waiting for that person. Like it's still empty, still empty. Because again, I would have hit. That's the big dilemma. I was wondering, am I going to hit Tom King first? Or am I going to hit the guest first? Because those are my those are 2 of my big goals for the day. Because I got to get my Tom King stuff signed. I gotta get the guest. The guest being the prime directive, if you will. So basically, I learned the guest is showing up at 2:00. So not a huge way, like 10 minutes away from it. And I hit the line. line just right. I'm like the second or third guy in line, essentially. So I'm hitting things. I'm hitting it tremendously well with the
Yeah,
guests
sounds
here.
like you're knocking things out of the park on the first day so far.
Again, this is from rope drops. Again, I'm doing really well.
Right.
All this within like the first hour so far. So again, the Comic-Con opens later on Friday. So on Friday it starts at 1 o'clock. So this is getting at 2 o'clock. So I wrap up with Tom King and all the other guys. I got done at like 1:50. So I'm waiting. Unfortunately, our guys were delayed a little bit, as they always tend to do. They always run late, especially on the first day getting there. So because they always
don't travel in groups, Dragon. I like traveling solo. Not to throw shade on your friends, of course. I'm sure they're lovely people.
Well, no, my point is the guests. The guests are always like run.
The guests are running late. I'm sorry. My bad. Yeah,
that's what I'm saying. The guests run late because they always. Apparently, I learned
the guests always run late. Dragon always. I think it's like an unwritten rule of entertainment in anything.
I learned. Apparently, I learned from one of the people. I'm going to still tease up the name here because it's ridiculous. Okay. Always, I learned from the helper people that apparently they can't. It's a really short walk from the hotel they're staying at to the con, but they're not allowed to walk there. They have to be driven there, and that's what takes them so long.
Oh man,
there's a lot of traffic, and it's kind of a poorly basically a poorly roaded area, if you will.
Oh, that sucks. Wow.
And that basically one wrong turn will take you way out of your way. I'll get into that.
That's
when we get
very inconvenient.
I'm going to hit you with a riveting story when we get to Saturday, but we'll get there.
Okay.
The point being, they're delayed
slightly. Planting all these flags, Dragon.
Thankfully, it's delayed slightly. The point being, they show up, and then we hit the big guest. You ready for this, man? Are you ready to find out who the guest is?
I hope I recognize them.
Oh, you will.
Okay.
All right. Tara Strong.
Oh, yeah, I kind of had a feeling when you said Batman-related, Dragon. That was kind of one of my guesses.
And this, of course, is... And by the way, I picked
just look at all those famous roles, man. God.
I picked this image for a very specific reason. This is the exact image I got signed.
Okay, nice.
Yeah, so
I think that's appropriate because it's, Tara Strong, of course. She's not just Harley. She's not just Dill. She's not just Timmy Turner. Like, she's all these people. I mean, it's like her. Oh, man, it's so impressive what her line of work is.
I'm just going to highlight a few here. Again, the operative ones being Batgirl and Harley Quinn. Again, she basically took over for Arlene Sorkin, essentially. So Tara Strong.
Right.
Basically, there are two Harleys. If I'm being honest, there are really two Harleys. You have Tara Strong and you have Heidi Wench.
I honestly had no idea she was Ariel's daughter.
Yes, and that's one of her favorite roles, by the way. She loved playing. Yeah, well,
respect,
that was her most
respect.
She loved, again, like, basically doing a movie with Jodie Benson and all that sort of stuff. She loved that role.
For sure.
That was like the most fangirl she ever got during a role.
Nice.
Of course, you'll notice, like, in one of the Marvel things, basically in a superhero squad, Marvel superhero squad, she played Scarlet Witch, kind of in the corner here under Timmy Turner. So again, she's got so many credits to her name. Of course, Raven from both the good and the bad Teen Titans. God. Again, like, look at all these totems of my childhood too. Like Shaolin Showdown, she's Omi from Shaolin Showdown, Ben 10,
and then Princess Clara,
Truffles from Chowder. A lot of yes, and Princess Clara. Anyway, so Tara Strong is very insightful. Of course, traditionally, with someone I really respect or admire, I like to write a thank you note, and I wrote 2 thank you notes. The second one you're gonna have to wait a long time for, but the first one here was for Tara Strong. To me, the most important one was for Tara Strong here because I wanted to get her right. I basically because I know she's gonna have a huge line, which initially it seemed like she wasn't gonna have that, but no, it filled up, man. It filled up. I was glad I got there when I did.
Right.
Because I'm fearing, I want to be courteous of the guests, and I don't want to like take up all the time like going through like all the roles.
Of course, sure.
So I like to write it down, but also kind of give it like a proper spin, or proper things. I used to hand write them. Now I type them up, just kind of make sure they can be able to read and all that sort of stuff. Right. Drew a little Batgirl symbol on the front cover, a little kind of paper clip it together, that sort of thing. Anyway, so she shows up. I remember I met this. I tell you, I had a few really weird line interactions through the con this year. There was a guy who was like even more than me. This guy he was a VIP. He lived for Tara Strong, and I think there was something a little off with the guy. I won't lie, but the point being, the guy I respected the man. I mean, the man was like gaga for Tara Strong, and I didn't know what to make of this guy. But I was like, okay. Again, there was a moment where he was a VIP line, I was a regular line. They kind of the helper guys. Yeah, I'm just gonna say what the guy's name.
Yeah, come on, give us the name, Dragon. Give us
this year. Okay, this year our guys, they were wearing lime green, so my nickname for them was the Limeys.
The Limeys. Oh God.
It's the Limeys.
It's the Limeys. Those goddamn Limeys.
So that's the thing. So the Limeys again. The Limeys were a lot nicer with the again. Day one really nice here. So again, their point they weren't 100% on things here. Basically, the Limeys weren't paying all the attention. They for a moment they went to the regular line before they went to the VIP line. I was thinking to myself, oh God. Thankfully, the guy in front of me was like the second in line of the regulars. The guy in front of me was so gracious. He pointed out like he could have just went up there. He could have, but he didn't. He said, no, that guy was there first. I was thinking, oh God, that poor schmo who was so eager to meet Tara Strong before. I don't. So he went first. All was well, and just show you. So there's some classy people at Comic Con. The fans are true blue.
Cool.
So I go up to see Tara Strong, and I'm excited, man. I picked this image because I was hooked. I was like on my tippy toes, looking like, oh man, what image from the Tara Strong more than any of the other guests had copious amounts of pictures you could pick to get autographed, because some of them were like, one was a purely Batgirl image, which I was contemplating. There's a Harley image. There's Timmy Turner, like every character she voiced, which again is a whole table in itself. Then she had images on in front of her. It's like her table's jam packed with photos because of all the roles she's done. I end up getting this one, getting my bang for my buck with all the pictures on here.
Makes sense.
Anywho, so point being, I picked my image. I'm very, I meet her, I tell her, essentially I say, you know how great you are. So I didn't want to take up all this time. So I put in I put in this little thank you letter I wrote for you here. And I didn't even ask her to do this, man. She read the thank you letter in front of me.
Oh God. Yeah, that's great.
She did. I think she did a few voices along the way when she kind of named you kind of read. I listed the roles.
Awesome.
Like if I just the cliff noted here, what I basically wrote in the letter was essentially, she even liked the stupid joke I made. I made a stupid joke in the letter where I said, dear Tara Strong, dear Tara Strong, hello there. When I wrote this letter, I didn't want it to take forever. I didn't want to take up too much time, so I thought I'd take the formal approach. In my humble opinion, I think you and Grey Delisles, and I wrote in parentheses, I know it's Griffin, but Delisles is catchy. And she loved that, and she agreed with me. She says, "Yeah, I know Delisles is better." And basically, so I think the two of you are the finest, some of the finest voice actors in the business, the whole thing, and there's like all that sort of stuff. I said, basically, he talked about an Over the Edge had one of the finest, moments. I told her I was a big Jim Gordon fan. I loved the moment Over the Edge when she and Gordon had this moment where basically Batgirl's about to tell Gordon her secret identity, and Gordon stops her. And it's a beautiful moment. I highlighted a few of my favorite moments. I name dropped a few of some of the great roles. Basically, you were my childhood with so many of these. I just sit here. Basically, hilarious. I could just sit here and list off like Shaolin Showdown and Ben 10 for days. But I don't. I think I'm just going to focus on the really impactful stuff. Because I mentioned Harley Quinn. And also I really specified on Ashi at the very end there. Nice, basically, what you do with Samurai Jack, and she's like, oh, tell me, didn't the ending get you? She's like, yes, it did. Kind of chatting about Ashi, and I ended in the letter basically saying,
that's great. That's so awesome. That's such a good fan interaction.
Basically, at the end of the letter, I put in something along the lines of, I think it's so appropriate, because I learned this on Fat Man Beyond. I learned that she had done the voice of Rocky Squirrel in the new Rocky and Bullwinkle thing they did on Amazon. It's so appropriate that you're Rocky Squirrel, because that you voice Rocky Squirrel, because in many respects you are kind of the new June Foray for the next generation. It's so
what's funny, Dragon? I'm glad you mentioned that, because when she first popped up, I kind of wanted to mention June Foray, but yeah, I mean, I think her legacy is kind of there at this point, man.
Absolutely, and again, I would fully agree with that. That's the reason I put him there. And she was so touched by this. She actually, because again, not. I want to make it clear. I can't say it's for every celebrity, but most celebrities, the idea is like they have to charge for the signatures when they do a con, because, from what I understand, they don't get paid for the con. They get like room, and basically they get a room there. They get possibly transportation. But they make their money.
Yeah.
So it's like the convention owners, they're not paying them to be there. They are paying their stay there, but they are that's how they make their money.
They're going there to promote themselves.
Which I feel a little bad, because it makes them look. It doesn't give off the best impression. But again, like if you met them on the street, they would do the stuff for free. I'm sure,
Right. I hear you.
Like Kevin Smith, you go Scum and Villainy canteen, he'll sign anything for you for free.
not to get too lewd for it with it, but like I'm sure Kevin Smith himself would agree. Like, hey man, don't sign your ass cheeks for free.
Exactly. So let's see. So anyway, so like so again, I already budgeted because I was going to go big with
Kevin
Tara Strong.
Smith's autograph is so frequent that it just an autographed Kevin Smith book just came into my store. Like, oh, look at that, there it is.
So anyways, the point being, I meet so I meet her, and I was going to go the full thing with Tara Strong. I got a photo op later on, so I got like a nicely taken picture. I had her hold the badge and everything in the photo, like I did with David Mazouz, where I had him hold the badge too. It was from Gotham, so it was so appropriate with him. Anyway, so I figured the police commissioner's daughter holding the badge, a little bit of in the future, and Batgirl becomes the. And it's a little dumb, it's a little in joke. My point being, I was going to go big anyways. I already bought my picture with her, but she offered me a free selfie because she loved the letter so much, and I thought it was really nice of her. That's the thing. She gave me a hug and everything. It was adorable. She was so nice.
Man, that's great. That's great.
So then, and I planned on meeting this guy. I wasn't sure if I was going to get I was figuring I was going to get an autograph or maybe a picture or something. I ended up I got a picture with the other media guest who was kind of in relation to Tara Strong. No, it wasn't Grey DeLuz because I obviously would have started with that. But it was Greg Sipes from Teen Titans. It was Beast Boy.
Oh, okay.
Of course, Kevin Levin from Ben 10, Beast Boy, from basically all Beast Boys. He's now in Young Justice. He's Young Justice, the Good Teen Titans, and Teen Titans Go.
Yeah, okay.
Can't all be one. But also Iron Fist. He's got that going for him, too. Anyway, the second Iron Fist I've met at Comic-Con, by the way.
Right. That's another one we forgot to mention.
Yeah. So suppose I meet... I meet Greg Sipes. I know Greg Sipes, from Rob Paulson's podcast. I know Greg Sipes is kind of a laid-back guy, vaguely hippie-esque. And I got to tell you, I've heard that, but meeting the guy, he is ridiculously laid back. I mean, the guy's, he's a nice guy. I tell you, he's a bit of an oddball though. He's nice. He's talented, but he's like ridiculously laid back. So it was nice though. I mean, he brings his dog. The guy's a super. I had no idea. It's so ironic. He's such an animal lover. And of course, I guess makes him perfect for Beast Boy. The guy brings his little dog everywhere he goes. Nice.
All
right, let's see. So there's a little meet and greet with Greg Sipes. So point being, all the stars are aligning this day so far. I hit all my major stuff within the first 2 hours. So that's good. So then I'm just gonna speed through
in the immortal words of Bubsy Bobcat, what could possibly go wrong?
Oh, and we're gonna get there. So the point being, so far all the stars along. I got through my major stuff already. Then I'm hitting like some of my other guys along the way. Like I meet Cullen Bunn, the guy who wrote Deadpool Kills the Marvel Universe. Point is like this is like one of the really intelligent Deadpool writers. So I got to meet this guy. He was the one that had Deadpool break the fourth wall. Like basically, Deadpool Kills the Marvel Universe. It's basically kind of a ripoff of Punisher Kills the Marvel Universe, only it's with Deadpool, but he's doing it for a meta contextual reason, where he's killing him because he realizes he's a comic book character, and like, what is life worth? Why is life worth living if we're all fictional?
Oh, that's great. I love meta commentary like that.
And it's really great. And basically, this kind of has like 2 sequels as well. But the first book's the best one. So I got all the originals signed on that one. A few extra stuff I had from Cullen Bunn. So he was really nice. He's not what I expect. I had no idea what to expect from Cullen Bunn, but he was more nice and folksy than I expected. I thought he was going to be like kind of the more erudite, like he was going to be like, I'm the astute writer. But no, he's a really down to earth nice guy.
Gee, fucking preconceptions dragged in.
No. It's just the fact that this guy writes some of the most intelligent Deadpool stuff. I had no idea what to expect. Right. Like his point is really nice and down to earth. He was really cool. Then I meet Francesco Francavilla. This is one of Scott Snyder's artists. This guy wrote one of the original stories that kind of made me a big Snyder fan. This guy was the artist on one of those stories. This is Black Mirror, the big story that basically started off as the Jim Gordon kind of backup story in the issues. Like the last couple pages of the issue were like this Gordon story was a slow build till you realize James Gordon had a serial killer son.
Oh yeah, right. I remember you talking about that to me for days, man. You were really blown away by that one.
So this is the guy who drew that.
Cool.
Did the art for that. So I had stuff signed by my father in like previous years. He got my book signed for because I had a panel at that time. But this time I got to finally meet the guy. Really nice. I wish I could have bought some of his art, but the problem is Francesco, man, the guy's just a little too good at his job because he did these posters that were giant. David, I brought the biggest top loader I had. This thing was like a giant poster. I couldn't buy his artwork, man, but it was sweet looking. It was. I mean, basically, I would have had to wrap it up in like a poster. They're almost paranoid about when you wrap up the post. The point being, they were really they had really great work.
Cool.
So then I met another artist by the name of Greg Land. Greg Land did a story this year. Basically, I read 2 Spider-Man stories this year that knocked my socks off. 2 of the best Spider-Man stories I've read in a long time. One, of course, was Spider-Man Life Story, which I highly recommend to you and anyone who's a Spider-Man fan. That one's going to bring you to tears and just you're going to be like, oh, God, it's so great. But the one this guy did was another great one. This is for anyone who loves the black suit stuff with Spider-Man. This was a symbiote Spider-Man, where it basically looks at it goes back in time when Spider-Man had the black suit, but we kind of look at things through kind of Mysterio's eyes during that story. That's kind of what that story is all about. Okay. Really interesting. So, point being, Greg Lem's the artist on that. He's a nice guy as well. Give me kind of a little scoop on like the next story. Basically, there's going to be a sequel to the symbiote Spider-Man thing, and it might be revolve around the Green Goblin, which is very interesting. Basically, the Goblin might get the symbiote. So we'll see how that goes. Really good stuff.
Goblin symbiote. That's
Trust me, you got to check out Symbiote Spider-Man's only like 5 issues, so it's good stuff.
Okay.
Anywho, so then I had like a running. Because I was meeting Tara Strong. I wore my Batman the Animated Series shirt, which I got earlier this year. So I had like the perfect shirt to meet her in, because of course she was in Batman the Animated Series. But also, just out of sheer coincidence, mind you, at least 2 other people had huge ties to Batman the Animated Series in terms of the artists this year that I met. So I met Joe Staten. Joe Staten is this is like a discovery I made the night before, because I was going through my books for one of the last guy I'm going to meet this day. And as I was going through those books, I kept seeing like Joe Staten. Basically, Joe Staten is the guy they had. Batman the Animated Series had a lot of tie-in comics, Tiki. Now, Batman the Animated, those comics were the first Batman comics I ever bought. All the time, because the animated series left such a mark on me. I bought the animated tie-in stuff as my first foray for jumping from the animated stuff to the comics.
Nice.
So, basically, I bought all of those things. I think I had the whole set. The point being, I bought most, if not all, of those comics. And Joe Staten did a lot of the adaptation. Like
I'm pretty sure the first comics I ever bought were Jughead comics. I'm not even joking about that.
Oh, you might want to put a pin in that one. We're gonna get there.
Jughead specifically? Really?
Well, Jughead Reliant. Jughead in relation to Jughead. We're going to get there. But
anyway. Did you meet Cole Sprouse?
Not Cole Sprouse. No.
I got excited for a second.
Would have been cool, but no. Just anyways, point being, Joe Staten, he did a lot of the when they did the episodes and they adapted them in the comics, like specials that basically adapted what you saw, but in comic book form. That's what Joe Staten did. Like, he did World's Finest. And of course, World's Finest was my introduction to Superman along with the Christopher Reeve movie. So that was so he did the comic based on the animated movie that you and I watched.
Okay.
So he did that, and he did a number of the tie-in comics. So I met him, and he was nice. I got some stuff signed there. So, day one, it's getting to the last stop here. I scouted out the place. I looked for some good deals on prints. Like what artists were kind of grabbing me. I'm going to buy some Legos, some minifigures of Legos, and I was like looking like what Legos they have. Like I was trying to like handicap. Like, okay, what do I need? What can I afford? That sort of stuff. Looked for some bargains. I saw some remarkable Iron Man bust. Man, I'm talking like. It looks like they lit up like actual Iron Man suits, and you could buy them, but they were like $1,500 to $3,000, but they were tremendous.
Ooh,
I was drooling over them, man, but no, they were.
Yeah.
So let's see. So then I looked at Andy Price. Andy Price is an artist that stuck with me from previous years. So I go by there, I see Andy Price. He had some artwork. And he actually was doing sketches. And every year at Comic-Con, I try to get a sketch of a Deadpool character. And that Deadpool character is Sandy Brandenburg. Deadpool's kind of his gal Friday, kind of his, like, the girl who runs the business. Basically, Deadpool is most successful, had Deadpool Incorporated, a small business, where basically this girl gave him the mercenary jobs. And she was like the bookkeeper, the secretary. She ran the business. And I love this character so much, from the Gail Simone run of Deadpool, my all-time favorite run of Deadpool. So every year I go to the best artists at Comic-Con. And I have them do a sketch of her, and the only thing I stipulate is like have some indication of Deadpool, but do whatever you want with her. Mm-hmm. So he was doing sketches for $10, which is a tremendous bargain. So he did, because usually commissions go for a lot of money, because it's original art, so it's like very exclusive, very like a one of a kind sort of piece type deal. So I had him do a sketch, $10. It's a good bargain. And I came back to him later days for some artwork, so a little bit there. Also, I ran by Stuart Moore. Stuart Moore was a guy who adapted this graphic novel. See, there's this new book called DC Inc., where basically they're doing like young adult comics, as in like comics a little bit more for the teen demographic, where it's like they kind of in some cases they've taken these novelizations and they've transcribed them in the graphic novels. And Stuart Moore transcribed this book called Nightwalkers, which is about like 18-year-old Bruce Wayne who's finally inheriting the Wayne fortune. Like no, there's no again, it's kind of a little Gotham-esque, let's call it, a little vaguely Gotham-esque. It's a good story. So
no, I'm sure it's a good story. I'm just saying, like the weird, like young adultification of these stories is like that's a weird subgenre.
Yeah, they've been doing a bunch of them though, and so far they've done this. They did one for Harley. They did one for Raven and Mira. And so far, some of them have been pretty good. And this is one of them that really grabbed me. So I met Stuart Moore. He was a nice guy.
More power to him. Nice.
And you probably know some saying like he's a nice guy. That's gonna be important for when we get to some hiccups along the way. So
okay. Flag posted.
All right, so then we get to the last stop.
Are we going to meet someone who is not a nice man?
Yes, we will.
Okay.
All right. So I told you to get wrapped up in it.
I am wrapped up in it, Dragon. I am.
Right, okay, so let me see. So then we get to the last stop of the last major stop of the day here. This basically wraps up Friday here. So Friday ended on so far everything was going tremendously well on Friday.
Oh God, did Friday end on a bad note?
Well, this wasn't a nice. It's not that this wasn't a nice man or anything. This is a complicated thing. Okay, so
okay.
So Friday, the last stop of Friday. So again, today tremendously went well beyond what
it sounds like it went super well, man. It really does.
So then we get to the last guy. The last guy to me was like the third tier of the most. Again, Tom King and Tara Strong, obviously the most important of the day. So then my third most important of the day, the guy who, again, I told you, Joe Staten was a surprise. He was like the night before. I didn't account for, but thankfully I knew exactly where his stuff was, and I only had he only had like 5 or 6 things, so he was fine. So my last stop was a biggie. He was the guy who dominated the animated series tie-in stuff, Ty Templeton. Now, Ty Templeton, let me tell you, here's Ty Templeton. Ty Templeton recently, he did the Batman Green Hornet thing that Kevin Smith and Ralph Garman did. He did the art for that. The big Batman 66 meets the Green Hornet. He did the Batman Bill Finger book. He did the Bill the Boy Wonder book that Mark Tyler Nobleman wrote, which, by the way, I remember I met Mark Tyler Nobleman last year, the guy who basically gave Bill Finger credit on the book after all these years. And all of this kind of starts with that book, which I have, which unfortunately I couldn't get Nobleman to sign because Nobleman just dropped by out of the blue last year, which I had no way of bringing that book to and get him signed by, unfortunately. Point being, knowing Ty Templeton was going to be there and that he didn't cancel, I brought this book to get it signed, along with the ideas that Ty Templeton wrote 75 to 80% of all the animated tie-in books that I had. That were the first Batman books I ever bought. So, I mean, that along with the Snyder books from that Black Mirror sort of like those are the first Batman books I ever bought. Anyway, so I had 80% of that in my collection that was all signed by him. The point is, I had all the Ty Templeton books, so I brought them. So he was Ty Templeton. I missed out on Ty Templeton while I was getting other stuff signed. In that I could have gotten him in the middle of the day, but apparently he was doing something, or he just wasn't there. He's taking a lunch break or something. It said he won't be signed. Oh wait, sorry, I remember it better now. So he was there, but I was told by his hand. Oh, it's even worse now that I think of it. Oh God.
Oh God. Okay.
So I walked up to Ty Templeton. His wife, who's also his handler. So she wasn't a limey, let's say, but sometimes people have handlers, but he had a handler. So his wife was his handler, and she said that he'll be signing at 6. Basically, the line was capped, which to me, I got to tell you, of all the line cappings, usually the line capping is like when you're like a huge line. In this case, the line was not huge. It was really close, but I guess he was going on break or something. The point being, like, the line being capped really seemed like it shouldn't have been capped. So this is like a limey the limey was holding the sign, but I don't think it was his fault this time. So I'm told to come back at 6 o'clock. So the show ends at 7. So I was told to come back at 6. And honestly, things were going so well. I could have left it at 4:30 if I wanted to that day. I really could.
Right. Okay.
So just because I was like, it was close to that already. I think it maybe was closer to 5. And I figured, you know what, I'll stay an extra hour because it's already 5 o'clock. Why not stay till 6? And he'll be the last thing I do. So I come back at 6. So then we hit a big old speed bump.
Oh boy. All right.
So there's this thing called the Heroes Initiative. Heroes Initiative is a good cause. Every year, Comic Con,
I remember you bringing this up before.
the Heroes Initiative is a charity basically preventing whenever creators, artists, writers, they fall in hard times. Usually like sometimes like back in the day, Joe Shuster and Jerry Siegel and Joe Shuster, they ran the difficulties, obviously, and that's why we have some of the Heroes Initiative to make sure no one falls in hard times like they did or gets wronged by the industry like they did. So it's like a charity where you put in a couple bucks, and it's probably optional. Bear in mind, it's usually optional.
Right.
And yeah, basically there's no limits or anything on the books. It's just it's kind of a class thing. Don't bring too much, obviously. That sort of thing. It's kind of like a golden rule in place. So there's an assumption that so long as you donate a little bit to the Heroes Initiative, and get as much as you get signed there. And that's how they get a lot of the biggest, like Denny O'Neil, like last year, one of the Mount Rushmore Batman writers. That's how I've gotten him before. They're brought out specifically for the Hero Initiative. Good cause.
Okay.
So either because it was the end of the show, because again, ends in an hour, and a lot of people like to wrap up early on days. So either because it was towards the end of the show, or again, his wife, who seems to be, a little tough as nails, let's call her, or because it might be a little bit of fault on my end, because again, I tried to get like 80% of my Ty Templeton book signed, not everything, but let's say a large portion. Try to get as much signed as I could to prevent Sunday from being, so I can get out early on Sunday for my father's benefit, right?
Sure.
So I bring as much as my Ty Templeton stuff as possible. I thought about rationing it out a little bit more, but I saw usually this Hero Initiative thing. It's an easy peasy process. Maybe I can get them all signed because judging how the rest of the day went, I say it's probably not going to be a problem. So my buddies and I tried to distribute the book. So basically, it would seem like we're not all the same person. That we just we're all three different people in line holding books. So I did split up at the end of the day. I did divide up the books. Unfortunately, things didn't go as planned because I don't know. There's like basically the way we were standing or something. We were all basically getting the books out of the comic bags and everything, and basically placing it down there. And there was this guy in front of me who was just chatting him up, basically taking away my interaction with the man as I was getting stuff signed. Made me seem really crass, and I thought, oh man, or it just seems like it's this guy with a pile of books getting them signed while he's chatting with another guy who's just already done the process. And it's like things aren't going well already, and then we get to basically things get uncomfortable. I don't want to get into all the nitty gritty. Let's just say things got a little uncomfortable, and it seems like I was going to donate, obviously, and I did donate a little bit. But basically, it got to a point where I think the wife was getting a little like, you should donate $1 a book, and that's like, and obviously, the books I brought, you can see how that's a problem.
Yeah.
So the point being, I had I got a portion of my stuff signed. I had to call it quits, and we just sadly rebagged what I had unsigned pathetically, and I was like, guys, this is Ty Templeton, man. It was like, and it did not. It was a sour note to end on, to say the least.
Oh man, that sounds like a bummer.
It was. The point being, at the end of the day, this drifts in. So again, getting ready for day 2.
So Dragon, I don't think she was a nice girl.
There's a redemption story in here, so don't be too sad.
Okay.
So, point being, at the end of day 1, I'm a little sore, both a little emotionally by the end of things, like lightly bruised, but on the whole, the day went fantastically up to that point. My feet, I'm saying physically, my feet, little sore. And usually it takes 2 days to get really sore, but you know what? Time. So, it's a passage of time. It takes an effect.
Right, of course.
Anyway,
You're
so
1 year closer to your inevitable demise.
Well, thanks for putting it that way. That just makes me feel better about things.
Yeah, one day you're going to die, and just everything's going to be black and eternal.
All right.
Anyway, I'm sorry.
Real quick, let's lighten the mood from what you just. Let me show you. Let's just show an uplifting image of Tara Strong to brighten the room here.
Okay.
There we go. Look how playful she is.
Is that Christian Harloff in the background?
You know what? Which one? The guy with the glasses or the guy with the microphone?
The guy with the microphone.
You might be right. I don't know who that guy is.
All right.
Oh. Anywho. So, point being, I'm basically supposed to be one of my buddies on Saturday. So but he changed the plan that he's going to meet me out there because it was a lot closer. He didn't do this like the night before. It was like the Thursday before the whole thing started. So I found I was going to give him a ride out there, but he's going to meet me out there. Which, it seems like that's less skin off my nose. It's like, okay, it's good. It's gonna be fine. It's fine. I got like a portion of my Ty Templeton stuff signed, so I have more Ty Templeton stuff to get signed than I expected. But I basically I got the important stuff signed. That's the good news. Bad news, I didn't get all the important stuff signed. I got like half of the important stuff signed. I still had a couple of. I didn't get the Bill Finger book signed. That was important, you know.
Ooh. Yeah,
That's what I'm saying. So, of
right.
course, like I didn't want it to elude me. So the point being, I knew he was going to be there all 3 days. There's no real panic there, but it's still like knowing like how basically the secret's out that this guy had a few other guys, and I was like, oh god, how am I going to spin this? How am I going to adjust for this?
Yeah, so, right.
We're gonna see. We're gonna see how that goes. Anyway, so Saturday comes around. So Saturday,
Dragon, if Saturday were an episode of a TV show, what would the title be?
Saturday would be the marathon.
The marathon. Okay.
For a very good reason.
Okay.
Okay, so let's see. So Saturday, I changed up my wardrobe because I realized I have to carry a camera. I didn't want I couldn't go do what I usually was going to do Saturday because I moved that to Sunday. My point is, I wore a special shirt I've been saving for such an occasion for a room full of people that would possibly get the reference, which was this shirt right here. Better Call Murdoch.
Oh my god!
This is nice. So I finally wore this, and I've been waiting to because it's basically waiting for Better Call Saul to come up, but obviously I had to wait a year on that one. And so
how did it go over? Did people like it? Did you get complimented?
We're gonna get there, man. There's an excellent payoff to this.
Okay.
There it is. So let's see. So point being, Saturday, the goal is to get as much done as possible to again make Sunday easy. Again, as kind of the main goal of things. I had the Templeton hiccup to account for. I want to get that Neil Adams Prince. That's on my mind Saturday. Remember that, the Neil Adams Prince and Arc.
Neil Adams. Okay.
All right. Jim Lee was there. Jim Lee, huge name, one of the chief creative guys of DC right now. I already had a signature from him, and Jim Lee charges $50 a signature, so I didn't do Jim Lee. Would have liked to, but it was like honestly, the last straw for me was that I was contemplating it, but the last straw is the fact that it's like a panel event. You have to pay extra to get into a panel and stuff. I didn't want to bother with it. It's because all these VIPs are in the room. It's like, you know what? I don't want to. I already have a signature I got from the Heroes Initiative years back. I didn't meet the guy, but like years back, during one of my first or second cons, my mother, when she went, she bought me Jim Lee's signature for $10. Again, it was that just shows you how things have changed these days, kids. It was $10 for Jim Lee's signature. Now $50. Anywho, point
Budget
being,
Dean, another reason why Tiki will never go to a con.
I tell you, man, if I could get into a time machine, anyway. Okay, so Saturday I hit transportation trouble.
Okay.
And of course I'd like to be punctual as all get, especially Comic-Con. I like to be an hour early when I can. That's at the bare minimum you want to be an hour early.
That's a sweet spot, man. That's a sweet spot. I hear you. Same thing with Disney parks.
So transportation, I hit some trouble in that. Getting down there was fine until I made a very unfortunate realization. So Tiki, for the first year ever, there was not a sports game. As in, there was no football, there was no baseball. The Ravens were somewhere. They went out of state. I forget what the term is because I'm just that not in the sports, man. They had like an away game or something. They weren't around for a change because Tiki, every year it's always Saturday or Sunday. That's why you want to leave early on Sunday specifically. Aside from the fact you're tired, you want to get out there early on Sunday. The point being, it's always like traffic, terrible traffic because of the sports game, because of the arena, because people are either going to a game or they're at a game or they're leaving the game when Comic-Con lets out. It's terrible. Always a stupid game. This year, no game. What I didn't expect is that Saturday, there was a marathon.
Oh, dear.
As in, people were running a marathon. Or gently walking a marathon, as I should.
Gently walking. We're participating.
Which is even sadder, if you ask me. The point being, there was a marathon.
Gently walking, or were there just sad people that are just going for the participation of it all?
I'm saying, I'll bet you most of them were going for the participation of it all. I'll bet you that.
Yeah, that's sadder. That's sadder for sure.
And this is like early in the morning, so I don't even know how long this marathon was slated to be. The point being, they were preparing. So the point being, I get there, and it's like Friday was no trouble whatsoever. Sunday, no trouble either whatsoever getting there as well. But here's the thing. You had the worst thing you could possibly see pulling up to the convention center. Detour signs. Or the worst, even worse than that, giant trucks blocking the turn.
Oh God. Oh
And
no.
let me 1 year. I believe my second year of Comic-Con ever, second or third year ever, on a Saturday, years and years back, because I was still a newbie at it.
Uh-huh.
We took a wrong turn, and that we forgot what street to turn down. And you think, okay, you miss a street, then you turn in the next one, right?
Is this the turn that you already alluded to?
I hinted that I didn't make the same mistake, but I'm illustrating what could have happened.
Okay.
In that there are stakes here, in that if you don't make the turn to Comic-Con, and if you don't by some miracle find like this hidden second turn, basically if you miss the turn, you go forward for miles.
Oh man.
That's happened to me 1 year, years back. So that's why
Uh-huh.
we're very important. Like, okay, make sure we hit that turn. And this is the first time ever there's been like a detour like this. So again, so that was blocked off.
So that
Thankfully,
specific turn is blocked off.
Thankfully, the hidden one was still around. Thankfully,
Okay.
there was that.
Okay.
But here's another speed bump. So, okay, you're thinking, okay, well, now we can make the turn. Everything's fine, right? Wrong.
Wrong.
So again,
Kevin Spacey.
so this is where again, this is why I set the little seed earlier. This is the big payoff here, where again, everything is so poorly constructed in terms of travel. Where if you go, you could go straight, end up in that same position Saturdays back. I remember that one time where basically if you go forward, you're going to still go forward for miles.
Mm-hmm.
As in, like, if you miss the turn off, the main turn off you need to get to, when you just literally need to turn left and walk into the place. That's literally all you need to do.
Oh God.
Trucks blocking it, so I have to, like, in the thick of the moment, like the cars are behind us. This is anxiety inducing. I have to get out.
Anxiety. Oh God.
I've never had to do this ever. I had to get out and I had to like pop the trunk and before the light turns green, I have to grab everything and I don't even have time to fasten the camera to it. I have to grab the bag.
Oh my God.
The whole thing, and then I have to cross the street and everything. It's the whole shebang.
Wait. Where do you leave the car?
No, I'm saying the car has to go straight. My father dropped me off. He has to, because
your father dropped you off. Oh, okay, I see. Sorry.
The parking is terrible. So you always have to pay for parking, which is another nightmare. Which basically, I did that Friday, but also it says the point is I got a ride Saturdays being the operator.
Oh God. Oh, that sounds so stressful.
That's what I'm saying. The point being, so this never happened before. Thankfully, thankfully no problems for me beyond that point. So I got out there, but then I'm waiting for my buddy. So I'm thinking, oh God, he's gonna run into the marathon.
Yes, yes.
And I need my buddy for Tom King. Otherwise, I have to pay to get the other book signed. So I call him. I warn him about this, and everything seems fine. But then apparently he went to get coffee beforehand without telling me. And so, look, make sure you get here because they let us in early. But thankfully, the point being, it was a photo finish, but he made it, so everything's fine there. He made it in the nick of time. We're all good there. But I was really worried. Like I was like checking my watch, like a madman, like every minute.
Right.
Where is he?
I've been there. Like, oh God, we got to make our fast pass.
And in the limeys are going to let you in early, which is rarely an occurrence that they're going to let me in. Oh God! Of all the times they're going to let me in early.
Right.
All right. So let me see if I can fast track some of this here. So, first stop, Tom King, as per usual. Now, Tom King apparently he's not there from rope drop. He have to wait till 11 o'clock for him. But so anyway, so he's not there at 11. So I'm figuring, okay,
he's standing but not operating. I'm using theme park terminology at this point to more closely relate to you, Dragon.
Sure. So anyway, the point is Tom King's not there. He won't be there till 11. I remember like the line trouble I had last year where the red shirts last year told you like we don't want you lining up before the proper time. So I'm thinking, okay,
gotcha.
So I'm gonna wait a while because I'm respecting what I learned last year from the red shirts. Big mistake for me, by the way. I'm thinking, okay, I'm gonna wait till it's close to 11 at least. So at the point I'm there at 10 o'clock. So anyway. So then I looked at Ty Temple, who's like adjacent to where Tom King is. Like he's literally like over where, like across where Tom King is. So I like turned behind me. Like,
oh God, Dragon! I have so much social anxiety about this situation for you. Oh man.
Okay, so Templeton wasn't there.
I'm like already cringing about it.
So I'm with my buddy here. I'm giving my buddy the game plan while we're in like line for like 10 minutes before, like 5 minutes before we're letting because he showed up at the last minute. Okay, we're gonna hit Tom King, then we're gonna hit Templeton, vice versa. Okay, Templeton not there. Okay, I'm looking like an idiot. My friend, I imagine, but
oh God.
So then thankfully Kevin Nolan was there. So Kevin Nolan was a Sunday exclusive guy here. Kevin Nolan was at the same, like right next to where Ty Templeton was, so it's fine. So I meet Kevin Nolan. Kevin Nolan, to keep it simple, is responsible for the look of Batman the Animated Series.
Okay.
Kevin Nolan is basically Bruce Timm was inspired to do Batman. The look of Batman from Bruce Timm was inspired by obviously Space Ghost and Fleischer Superman, along with the comic art of Kevin Nolan. And I met Kevin Nolan, super nice guy. I didn't have a lot to get signed by him because again, he did designs for the series, and I didn't really have a lot of Nolan comics. I had like one recent, by a sheer miracle, they did a recent comic with Kevin Nolan like the week or two before Comic-Con, which I got. Like,
nice.
Oh man, I have something to get signed by him. So I got that signed by him. He told me about I asked like, how did it happen, man? He told me he corresponded with Bruce Timm, which kind of blew me away. Oh my god, I sent these things through the mail. He just kind of reached out to him. That's how they got the designs for Batman the Animated Series. Really cool, really nice guy. So then after that, Templeton shows. I told my buddy, "Oh yeah, you can go off and do your own thing." I repacked.
Oh god!
Like, oh god! Now he's there. And I call him, buddy. Okay, listen. I hope you didn't get too far. Get back here.
Oh god!
No, my buddy's fine with all this. By the way, he just came really loosey goosey, so he was perfectly fine. I'm just saying, I imagine I would look like an idiot. For
right, sure.
But he's late anyway. Point being, so I then have a strategic donation plan. Where the plan.
Okay.
Is I donate a little bit more than I should have last and to get gypped, by the way, on that Friday. So I call me a little, I don't know, a little scrupulous, mind you, but I basically, okay, I'm going to donate, going to put an amount in the jar, for between me and my buddy. I'll give him $1. He'll put it in the jar, and basically, he's not going to look through the thing. He's not going to scrutinize the money that's put in the thing. So basically, like, an amount is put in there, and if I'm stopped, then I'm stopped, and I just get as much as I can to sign. That's the plan. One being a strategic donation plan is put in place, divided between me and my friend. And everything gets fine. Everything's fine. Everything gets signed. And actually, Ty Templeton, he actually redeemed himself here. Ty Templeton, he had basically Ty Templeton had a catchphrase for this day that then spurred. I could have used it yesterday, but it appeared today and tomorrow, where Templeton said, I'll close my eyes, put whatever you want in there. I mean, it's between you and the man upstairs, essentially. He didn't say that, but essentially it's between you and like the spirits of comic creators that will haunt you, that sort of thing,
Right.
And again, I made it right. Don't get me wrong. I bought some prints from him, so I think I made it right. So because I had wanted some Ty Templeton prints, I bought some really great artwork that he had as well. So I think I evened things out. And again, I kind of got gypped yesterday, so I think
was there no sign of the wife?
No, the wife was there, but again, she wasn't making a stink about things. And again, she redeems herself too, but not today.
Okay.
So he actually.
So I'm sorry. I'm fixated on this wife. What was the wife doing? Was she like did she recognize you?
Well, Ty Templeton recognized me, and that kind of filled me with fear for a moment. Because I was hoping like maybe he won't recognize me. Of course he's gonna recognize me.
And he's like, "Oh, I know you."
He said, "Well, you know how it works." It's like, oh, God.
Oh God, oh no.
But thankfully, he then gave me.
Oh, that would make me like that. That would. God,
he said that,
I would shut down, Dragon. I would shut down if someone said that.
He said that, but thankfully he had the catchphrase, so all was good. So basically, he had a little kind of lighthearted catchphrase, which then basically assuaged any fear. And also, he did something really cool. I brought the Batman and Bill. I made sure I got the rest of my important stuff signed. He actually in the books he did sketches. He did mini sketches. So he did this really cool thing in Batman, Bill the Boy Wonder. He did like an anti sign, like the no, like the anti, like don't do this here sign, the little red circle with the little anti circle thing.
Yeah.
He did that with Bob Kane in it, which is awesome.
Oh God!
Because again, like for the Bob Kane, because I gave him props on the whole. You guys are really in large part responsible for getting Bill Finger's name back, so I thanked him for that. So, oh yeah, it's like Bart Tom Millman had that in the works already, and I just we kind of did this, and that kind of helped. We propelled the word out there. We didn't start the whole process. It was really nice. So I did a little mini sketch in my Green Hornet book as well. It was just really awesome, like really cool looking. So there's some really Ty Dunn was a really cool guy. He was everything I could have lived up for. I just think I call him at a really bad time. Again, this is bear in mind. That was at the end of the show. This is like the first time he showed up during the show. There's no line, anything. It was perfectly fine.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So then at this point, I make a realization that then will create the marathon title. The marathon literally didn't create the title for this episode here. Okay.
Oh, a misdirect. I like it.
So here's what happened. So I make a startling realization that while I got Tom, I was taking. I realized as I turn around, I look. A huge line is formed with Tom King behind me.
Oh boy!
To the wall. Okay. A line to the wall is formed, as in like snaked around 3 times and went to the wall.
Gotcha.
It didn't go all. It didn't like line up completely like ages and ages, like miles to the wall yet. But it was like just to the wall. And I realized, like, oh god, because I realized I this is what I get for following what the red shirt said last year. I should have just been. You want to hover around the lines for when they get formed, because then you get first in line. That's how it works. That's how it should work. But I tried to be courteous, and this is what happens. So I tell my buddy.
Wait,
Okay,
I'm sorry. How early is this before the line technically opens?
So that's what I'm saying. So Tom King, basically, it was like an hour. Basically, he was. Sorry, let me rephrase this. It was like an hour. Basically, he wouldn't be there for an hour. He wouldn't be there till I think 11 o'clock. I think, yeah, 11 o'clock.
Mm-hmm.
He was there at 1 o'clock. He was there He was there from rope drop yesterday. This one, it took an hour to get there. So basically, he started at 11, where the show opened at 10. You know.
Okay.
So the point being, like, even before Tom King showed up, it's like 10:50. Let's say, it's just to round it off here. It says 10:50. Like before I hit things, like, let's say half hour goes by at least. Okay, half hour goes by. Tom King hasn't even shown up yet, and a line is formed. Like, they're all waiting there again. Where are the limeys when you need them? To say, don't form the line yet. But point being, line is formed. So I tell my buddy, okay, you hold the Tom King books here. Okay, you at least hold yours. And just call me when there's 10 people in front of you, okay? Because I had to hit but the other big guy I wanted to hit was on Saturday. He showed up, which we're going to get to right. So I hope this is the right one. Here we go. David Michelini. Sorry, okay. I keep thinking like the Michelin Man, but it's actually Michelini, apparently. Point being, David Michelini here. Of course, as you can kind of tell by the image here, he created Carnage and Venom. He co-created Carnage and Venom. Like, he was the writer, where Todd McFarlane was the artist who did Venom. This guy wrote Venom. He came up with the idea of what happens to Eddie Brock. That's all him.
Oh, okay, cool.
David Michelini, of course, like, he did this. He did Demon in a Bottle, the famous Iron Man story.
Oh yeah, nice.
So that was all I'm saying. As far as Dave Michelini, huge. He was my big guy, but he only showed up Saturday. I couldn't get him Friday. So the point is, I only had a few things for David Michelini. I had like 5 things, and some special things. So the point being, I have to hit the Michelini because I imagined there was going to be a line, but I did not know how big a line there was, because he wasn't like with the regular creators. He was in Artist Alley. Artist Alley is like the boonies of Comic-Con. It's the bazaar meets the boonies of Comic-Con. Basically, Artist Alley is like a bazaar of like artists, like, oh, come here, see what art I made for you, that sort of thing.
With the pretty lady, like a pretty necklace?
Precisely. That's exactly what it's like. They're always just trying to get you to buy stuff and tell you, like, read my original comic. And again, good comic. Good sells.
Right,
good stuff.
Right.
And that's what I'm saying. Like, but it's so unusual to have, like, Michelini at a place like that. So I was thinking, maybe not a lot of people are going to realize that he's there. I don't know. Maybe it's not going to be that huge a line. But I realized, oh, God, it's a line to the wall. It's like where the food court is. Like, going. So I show up there. So now you can imagine, this is where the marathon starts to kick in here. So I'm in the Michelini line. So with the Michelini line, and there was a time crunch here, because again, if it's like 10:30, I have at least half an hour before Tom King shows up. And then I have a good while before he shows up, because there's a line there. My buddy's to the wall.
Sure.
So there's a time there. But again, when 11 o'clock shows up and Tom King, with the book limit that he has, Michelini does not have a book limit, and people are bringing stacks and stacks.
Oh, God. Oh, no.
Good news is I found out there was a limit of 10 before there was a charge for charity. Okay. Again, importantly for charity. So it wasn't the Heroes Initiative, it was for a pet charity. So Dave Michelini likes this. Nice. That was good for him. Point being, Michelini he's a cool guy. Just in every practice of the word, he's a cool guy. Anyway, point being, I'm people with stacks of 10, though, and they're chatting him up because he's a legend. So time is a factor here.
Anxiety,
and again,
anxiety.
Now, if I'm not in, and I have my Tom King book, by the way, because again, I don't want to. The point is, if I'm not in that Tom King line, my buddy gets on. I've told him, like, tip me off, like, call me when 10 people are in front of you. So the idea is, like, I would dash down there, hopefully be done before that happens. But obviously, I'm gonna have to dash down. So also, the little side tangent here. I got like a free swag thing in line in Comic-Con this year. Well, basically, when I was waiting to enter the place, they had these artists from Artist Alley trying to sell their work, and they're giving away free swag. Here's they grabbed a little ticket for some free swag, and I got a ticket for free swag, and it was in the Artist Alley neighborhood. And I asked the guy in line to hold my place, which he did. So I looked for this free swag, and I got to, I had to look all over because I'm paranoid about 2 lines at the same time: the Tom King line and David Michelini line, and I'm looking for this free swag because swag might sell out.
You're a madman.
So while I'm doing this, I'm looking all over the place. My buddy has my guidebook, and I didn't bring extras, and I'd have to go all the way. I don't know. You're not going to be able to live through this story, are you?
I mean, how important is this free swag at this point,
Well,
man?
basically, if I'm waiting in a giant line for Michelin, I'm trying to take my mind off the giant wait in the line, honestly. It's like, I might as well get something
Okay,
done while
okay,
I'm
that's
waiting
fair.
here.
That's
I'm
fair.
trying to get stuff done here, so I don't have to worry about this. I didn't want like all the swag. I have no idea what the swag is, bear in mind, but it's swag.
It's swag. It's free.
So the point being, I
God
go
bless
this way.
America.
And you know what the swag was? Basically, the swag is so pathetic here. I just,
Oh God, I
I,
figured it would be, but
I
what is it? What
finally
is the
find it. I
trinket?
was expecting like a free bag or something, man, or like a
Yeah,
cup.
yeah, yeah. Oh God,
So I
I'm
do here.
excited. I'm excited.
I go to this booth. These guys tell me it's kind of clever, but it's also kind of stupid. Where they tell me like,
Okay.
okay, pick a card with a different original character on. I picked I picked the character's female character, and basically this lady gives me the sell like what this whole comic series based on this character is. It's a pretty decent sell, and apparently the swags I get to keep the little card that I picked. And they don't even give me the comic they were telling me about. So I went through all that just for
Wow.
a card.
Wow. Oh
So then
man. I
and the
mean,
guy.
if you got a comic with that, that'd be
Yeah,
one thing.
that's
But
what I'm saying. Because I would have thought that's really great promotion. They give you the card, they give you the comic, and you picked it, and that's what dictated what you get.
yeah. Oh God.
And I
Oh
asked, like, so do I
geez.
get the comic too? He says, no, just the cards. Like, so, and all this time, by the way, my guy says, you're really close by, right? And I said, I looked at the map. I said, yeah, it was close by. I forgot where it was in proportion to me on
Fuck.
the map. So it was like, so I had that guy in my mind too. Like, I didn't want to, and I apologize. At points, the guy wasn't mad. He said, oh, no, you're fine, perfectly. If I was paranoid about that guy, I was gonna. If it's like, oh, God, I left that guy laying in wait.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
Anywho, the point being, so I'm in the Michelin line. This is where the marathon thing really kicks in. Because then my buddy calls me. He says 10 people in front of me. It's like, oh
Oh
God,
shit.
and Tiki, I'm getting closer and closer to Michelini too. By the way,
Okay,
so
okay. Oh
I have a
God.
soaking.
Oh God.
And Tiki, the food court's
The stakes are so high, Dragon.
now the food court is a decent. It's on the same side as Tom King, but it's still like it's a solid jog away.
Mm-hmm.
So again, the Michelini line is getting closer, but again, it's like $10 a person practically, and I'm still waiting on. So basically, I'm in a position where I then tell my buddy, okay, I'm doing like the ending of Iron Man, where it's like you put the numbers on the screen. Where I'm telling my buddy, okay, call me when it's at 5.
Oh God. Oh God. Okay.
So I'm
Okay.
planning on when he calls me when it's at 5, I got to do a sprint all the way down there. So
Right. Right.
and be
And like,
back.
Michelini or not.
Mm-hmm. No, and they have to take a risk. I have to leave. The guy behind me was a retailer. I could see it by the tag on, so I knew at least I could get if anything fishy happened. I could find this guy. So I asked him. He seemed like everyone. There was a camaraderie in the line. The guy in front of me was kind of smelly. I won't lie, but the guy behind me was a cool guy. That's
Okay. Okay.
So anyway, so the guy behind me. So I asked him like, "Hey, listen, I hate to do this, but I'll be." Basically, I asked him to watch my stuff and hold my place. By all means, like go in front of me if I'm not back by the time we get up there, man. Just he says he was a cool guy. He says, yeah, sure, no problem. So basically, I waited for that call. Which basically I got the call like 5 people in line. So I ran. I pulled my Tom King. This guy's left with my bag full of all my stuff. So
Uh-huh.
I take my Tom King books and I don't want to look like a madman running down there, but I'm walking there. I'm walking this. I'm without fully running. I'm moving as fast as I humanly
Right. Right.
without looking like a madman or being like tackled to the ground by security.
Oh God.
So I'm moving there, and I have to go a great distance there, and anyway, so I'm I've made my way down there. It's like 5 people in front of me, and of course, people are still chatting up Tom King, which again, I'm paranoid about Tom at this point. I fear I'll make any further pleasantries with Tom King on Sunday when I see him again, if all goes well. So point being, I get my stuff signed. I get in front of my buddy, make sure I get there first. So I tell him, okay, listen, I'm gonna get my stuff signed. I gotta go all the way back to the Michelini thing. Just again, like meet me there, I guess. So after we get this done, so I get the Tom King book signed, and I rush back there. And again, I made it by a margin. It was like maybe like 3 or 4 people in front of me before Michelini. So I made good time. But Tika, I had a horrifying moment though when I was sprinting on my way back. Man, this has never happened to me at a Comic-Con before because I've never had to run like this. I've had to move. Maybe it's a little fast, but I've never had to run like this on the way back because I was really worried about the Michelin thing. I reached a point where I ran. It felt like I was being tugged by a rope. Where my legs, I felt, I felt like I lost the ability to run.
Oh shit.
As in, I was moving. I was basically in the middle of a run. But again, this is like day 2, so my legs are already tired from Friday, and I pushed them a little bit. And I guess I pushed them a little too much. Where I felt like I lost. I was moving, and I was like a little bit of a run, and my body wouldn't let me run, but I was still moving because I couldn't stop. because I was like,
Right.
I refused to stop, so I kept moving, but I still had a brisk pace. Like, I was dragging my feet on the floor so I could get there. So I got back in line. So thankfully that all went well. So I met Michelini finally. Got my book signed, Michelini. And here's the cool thing: Michelini meant a great deal to me because Michelini, the first comic I ever bought, was a David Michelini comic. And I brought it. It was Maximum Carnage Part 4.
Okay.
So I got that signed by him. I told him that. We had a real nice moment. Where he basically, I told him you were the first comic I ever bought. And it was a nice moment. He had a lot of good camaraderie there. It was really it was really nice. I asked him who is Venom to you? I asked kind of some stuff like what is Eddie Brock to you? That sort of stuff. The point being,
Mm-hmm.
He was a dream, man. The man was funny, he was witty, he was everything you could have dreamed. There's a little PS with Michelin we're gonna get to when we get into Sunday. But let's see, we're almost through. Because Michelin was a huge part of the day, so. Let's see. So after Michelin, now it's kind of a little bit laid back. Now I'm kind of doing some shopping, and I buy some Andy Price art. I meet Katie Cook. Katie Hooks is a tremendous artist. She did these watercolor things. I tried to get some Katie Cook art done last year. I missed her. This year, though, I got some artwork done, and let me try the screen. I'm gonna need to mess with the screen share here. A skosh. Let me see if I can show you. Hoping everything goes well. Give me a second here.
Okay.
I'm gonna need to stop it for a second. Let me reshare.
All right.
Okay. And here we. Okay, let me. Okay, are you seeing a number of things or just one thing on the screen right now?
Unfortunately, right now I'm still just seeing our avatars.
All right. Give me a second. Let me try one more thing. All right. Okay, it's gonna be good here. Okay, let me. Okay, what about now? What are you seeing now?
Still just our avatars.
Well, darn the luck. All right, I'm just gonna have to tell you. Okay, I'm just gonna have to
Okay.
tell you then. All right, let me fix things. Sorry, folks. Sometimes beggars can't be choosers. All right, let me just fix this. So basically, I had Katie Cook do two sketches. She did one thing of Sandy Brandenburg, and then she did something really special, which I'm gonna have to walk you through here. She did Norma Bates from Bates Motel.
Oh my God! Yes,
I had her
yes.
do Norma Bates from Bates Motel, and it was basically her in the. Remember that angelic Formiga thing we used for the
Do I
for the
remember
Normans?
that? Of course, I remember that. That's one of the
So
best props I ever made.
basically that so that image basically she did that image with her saying Norman, because I had never had to do this. I had to describe Farmiga and the charm of Farmiga in like under a minute to somebody who's never seen the show. It's like, okay, so it's like the mother, it's Norman Bates, but not the dead version. But she's the most adorable thing ever put on this earth. Little mini pictures, if you will. You know?
Hello,
Yeah.
Dragon.
Yes. Can you hear me?
Oh boy.
Hello. Hello.
Yeah. Hey. I can hear you.
Yes.
I can hear you.
Okay, we're all good. Okay. My point is, I had to describe Farmiga to somebody who's never heard of that whole thing.
Okay.
Anyway. Point being, these little adorable, she did watercolor paintings, but they're like on the size of a little card, like a better version of the card I got from those swag people.
Oh God.
You know?
Yeah.
All right. Okay, let's see. I got some Legos, some coveted Legos. I got Reverse Flash, which of course you know me. I love the CW version of the Reverse Flash. I bought a little minifig version of that.
Cool.
Got Peggy Carter. I got the Endgame Captain America with the hammer.
Nice.
Got the Spider-Man Noir.
Nice.
Got Red Skull, who came with a cosmic cube and like another face. I got I got Iron Spider, and I got Adam West.
Oh, Adam West. Good pull.
The Adam West Bruce Wayne, but it's Adam West essentially.
Yeah. Sure.
Let's see. So then I did something. I took in the costume contest, which I never do, because Saturday. Essentially, the thing I should have prefaced it Saturday with is Saturday. I had to stay till closing, even if I didn't want to. I had to, because again, in terms of getting a ride, I had to wait till closing. Which again, there's no problem. There's no skin off my nose. I'm all waiting for. Sorry, but I never taken the costume contest. So this year, I finally did. And I saw some really cool costumes. I saw Bane. I saw Falcon. I saw Mysterio and Venom. Again, bear in mind, folks, I had pictures of these, but obviously that's not going to be an option, unfortunately. But take my word for it. They were. Let me show you a little bit of. So again, basically, here's some cosplays for you there. You know, you're gonna have some Batman going on there. Basically, there were some good costumes. So I saw I saw a really awesome looking Falcon and Mysterio and Venom. Venom was my favorite of all the cosplays because I saw the best looking Venom you've ever seen. He was like holding a Spider-Man mask, as in you basically killed Spider-Man or something. Or you beat the crap out of Spider-Man. Looked really good. I saw a handy capable person who was basically Professor Xavier using Cerebros. Really impressive.
Oh, that's cool. Nice.
The winner of the contest, however, was a giant Lego version of Lord Business and Bad Cop.
Awesome.
So let's see. So then I get something like I get the Jerry Ordway. Jerry Ordway, of course, is one of the guys responsible for the death of Superman. I got him to sign some stuff, and he had. Ordinarily, he charges. He actually got me for free, which is really nice of him. Again, I don't know if he either didn't pay attention because there was kind of a distraction. The guy in front of me was kind of distracting him. I don't know. Worked out for me, so I'm not complaining.
Right.
Okay, so Mark Waid. I meet Mark Waid. Now, Mark Waid, of course, he wrote some of the really great Daredevil comics of late. He's also did some Captain America work recently. Point is, Mark Waid, really, really good writer. And again, I know for a fact a Daredevil fan, so I go up to him and he. I pointed out my shirt because I wore my shirt especially for you because I realized, oh my God, Mark Waid worked on Daredevil, therefore I'm wearing a Daredevil shirt, so I might as well point out to the Daredevil writer. Hey, but here's the thing that blew me away, even more because I'm wearing kind of two of my favorite shows right now with this, and I know for a fact he's not crazy about the Netflix Daredevil. Basically it's different than what his version of Daredevil is. Even though I pointed out to him, that version of Daredevil is very much your version. It's kind of both. It's kind of like a lighthearted. It has lighthearted moments as well as going to be in your Frank Miller kind of gritty stuff. Anyway,
sure.
My point is, he and I gushed about Better Call Saul. He loved Better Call Saul.
Nice.
Which again, because you saw, he was really charmed by the shirt, and then we kind of gushed about. I told him
I love celebrity moments where you can just geek out with the other person. As you know, I had a moment like that with Greg Sestero and The Social Network.
Basically, we talked about because basically Better Call Saul to me is the best because it kind of has the benefit of season 5 of Breaking Bad. The thing you and I always talk about is kind of season 5 of Breaking Bad from the get go. That's why Better Call Saul is kind of debatably, objectively the best.
Right.
Out of the point is we gushed about Better Call Saul. So I finally, after all these years, I met. Here we go. I met I met Jim Steranko.
Okay.
Steranko, I tell you, I had a mind-bending encounter with this man. Steranko, I've always wanted to meet because this guy is basically one of the prolific 70s artists of the 70s onward, where this guy, he really made S.H.I.E.L.D. cool. He made Nick Fury cool. Nick Fury went from a military guy to a secret agent because of this man right here. He's the one who added the espionage level of S.H.I.E.L.D. Jim Steranko is one of the great, he is one of the influences of Bruce Timm in general, one of the cool, you go from Kirby to kind of the style of the 70s, and that's Jim Steranko. It's a legendary name in comics. Even just look at the man. He's cool looking. Doesn't he look cool?
He does exude cool, I must say.
That's what I'm saying. So I've always wanted to meet this guy, but he always has a line. But this year I had time to kill, so I was in line for him.
Ah, nice.
And this guy was not a limey, but I learned a lot from his handler. His handler was so informed. This is where the mind-bending stuff comes in. Get ready for this. I went on a journey here with Jim Steranko in so many ways.
Oh boy. All right.
So unfortunately, because Jim Steranko, again, a lot of his stuff is in high demand. And again, the guy's really good for a reason. This guy was the artist. Steranko, I was going to buy a print from Steranko because I had nothing to get signed by Steranko. I figured I was going to meet the guy and hopefully get a picture. That's kind of what I was planning on doing in line. But I saw a print. I might as well get a print. It's $20. Might as well get that signed. But I found it as autograph along with the print is $20, which is, to me, is kind of crazy. You're going to charge as much for the print as for your autograph. I don't know. It's a little nutty. Because usually an artist, if you buy a print, they'll sign it for free. It's usually how that goes. That's what I'm used to. It's Yeah, crazy. And I find out he doesn't do pictures because he only takes pictures of pretty girls apparently.
What? Oh God. Okay.
Look again, trust me, you're just following me on this. So
All
while I'm
right. All right.
waiting, his handler is kind of getting this conversation with a guy about Neil Adams, and I've met Neil
Okay.
Adams before. I'm a huge fan of Neil Adams, especially the storytelling. I'll admit Neil Adams not perfect, not a good writer, but excellent at everything else he does. So Neil Adams, apparently, there's a bit of a rivalry between Neil Adams and Jim Steranko.
Oh God.
And I found all this out. So take all of this with a grain of salt from this handler, okay? The handler
Of course.
sounded like he knew what he was talking about. So apparently, the handler was kind of calling Neil Adams out on a lot of hypocrisy.
Oh no. Oh God.
Which, again, take it with a grain of salt, but this blew my mind. Never thought about this. We're basically saying Neil Adams at times could be short of cons, which I can buy because again, the guy charges $40 for his picture and as well as for for his prints. But again, he signs his prints. That's the thing he has that Steranko doesn't. Again, if you buy a Neil Adams print, he'll sign for you. No problem. That's one thing. But my point is, apparently Neil Adams, who can very famously, very historically, got the names of Siegel and Schuster back on the Superman book. He's like this huge advocate for comic creators for all these years. Like a guy who's like very anti Bob Kane.
Yes.
He apparently, according to this guy, he uses ghost artists like Bob Kane did. Basically, artists who he will not give the credit to. As in, he told me the last book that Neil Adams did, the last, Neil Adams books of late, as I told you, writing's crap, but again, the art, at least it's Neil Adams art. Not as good as his old work, but again, it's still Neil Adams work. But apparently, most of Neil Adams did the faces and the hands on that artwork. The rest of it was the ghost artist by the name of Buzz. Wow. And then remember that name, Buzz. Remember, it's going to be important. So Buzz. So to me, it's just a huge irony of oh God, he doesn't like Bob. Famously, he never liked Bob Kane, but he's kind of become, in essence, what this guy's saying is he's kind of taking credit and not giving the other guys his due. Again, take it with a grain of salt for what's about to transpire a little later in our story. But so the point being, this gave me a lot to think about with Neil Adams. My mind was blown. Oh God, I never thought about that. So that's kind of sticking with me. Remember, one of my main goals is to get that Neil Adams print.
Right. Sure.
So anyway, I meet Steranko. And Steranko, I was blown away just by meeting the guy. So I was already blown away by the handler. And then I'm meeting Steranko. Again, I'm only meeting the guy because I can't get a picture with him, and I can't I don't want to get a print. So Steranko, I saw the guy sign some work in front of me, and the guy has so much the way he signs stuff. Even he takes the cap off the pen, he signs it, but he slams the pen into the cap with style, he's orchestrating something. He's he has music playing. He has 70s music playing in the background. The guy there's an ambiance there, man.
Right.
And nice. Steranko looks the same in every con because again he has one of those Stan Lee looks where it's kind of like a pre-made, he wears these sunglasses, hair's in the same way, dresses with the turtleneck, the whole thing. He exudes 70s. So I meet the guy, his music's playing in the background. It feels so intimate because he has this big table kind of cutting you off from the rest of the guys. So he was so, I shook his hand. The man has a grip like a python, man. And he was so. I told him I've always wanted to meet you. I keep kind of circling the table every year. I finally got the chance to meet you and tell you. I think your work's tremendous. And all that sort of points. We had a really deep, intimate, complimentary conversation. Which is,
really?
Essentially he told me I had good taste, and you kind of spoke to, kind of spoke to the generational thing of comics and how it was important. I was kind of like a guy discovering his work, years later. That whole thing and it was just really. He was the nicest guy you ever could meet. He hopes to see me again next year or something. He was really nice. Oh my God. I was blown away by Steranko. I was oh God. It's I'm learning all this stuff about Neil Adams, and it was this really intimate thing in a crowd full of people. My God. So after that, I'm in direct, almost in the, you walk a little forward and then you see the Neil Adams table. It's like a Sophie's Choice. And we're God, I could get the Neil Adams print, but I don't know if I should. So I didn't get it that day.
Oh God. Okay.
So anyway, I'm vetting some other stuff, some basically getting ready for the last day deals of Sunday. I didn't buy again. I bought my Legos. I got kind of some stuff, not everything. I'm looking around, checking out, sussing out some deals there. I did circle. I asked around on Saturday. I asked around for my dream comic. My dream comic, the big. If you could buy a graded comic for me, the one comic I've always wanted because I almost bought it once at my comic shop, but then someone else bought it. Amazing Spider-Man number 50. Amazing Spider-Man number 50, right?
Refresh my memory on it.
Spider-Man No More.
Oh yes, of course, sure,
That
sure.
one. But also the first appearance of the Kingpin.
Uh-huh.
Big comic. There were only. I asked around every place I could, and during the whole day, I asked around who had this book. Only 4 copies were in the entire place. And again, I mean, it shows you how popular and hard to find it is. Again, that first appearance of Kingpin really gets you up there. And again, so it's a pricey comic as well. So of course, you want to find it for like a great, bore you on those, and won't bore you with those details right now. But let's say anyway. So point being, I'm still waiting out the day. I meet Tara Strong for a second time, and I met my buddy Ken Hunt. Ken Hunt is my artist who I've had do some work for. I've given my grandmother some art for her birthdays and stuff, and I've had Ken Hunt do the artwork. And so Ken Hunt, he's my artist, and usually I see him at Comic-Con. This year I didn't expect him to be there because he wasn't on the program, but I saw him there. I said, "Hey, what are you doing here?" And he tells me he got screwed out of the program because of all these cancellations and everything getting moved around. He was slated to be there, but he wasn't in the program. And basically, poor Ken Hunt was he showed up there, and people they liked his work, and they basically slammed him with like all these commissions. Basically, the guy wanted to do other things at the Comic-Con, but he was slammed with it's work, saying like, well, okay, he's going to do sketches. He's paid good money for a lot of like custom sketches and stuff. And the poor guy, Ken Hunt's a huge Harley Quinn fan, and he loves the Tara Strong Harley Quinn. He wanted to meet her.
Yeah, right.
And I felt so bad for him. And anyway, so I meet Tara Strong a second time, and I walk up to her. I meet Tara Strong a second time. I walk up to her, and get like the line kind of eased up on her. So I figured, okay, I was like the last person in line by the time I walked out again towards the end of the day, and I walk up to her. And I got my picture on Friday, so we already went through that. Right? But anyway, so I walked up to her. I said, like, hey, I just wanted you to know that there are people who want to meet you can't even be here, man. So I just kept it kind of casual and friendly. And she remembered me from the previous day, and she was point being, she was it was a nice little second encounter. But while I was in the neighborhood, you know what, I like to meet some guys, even if I'm not going to go for the full autograph and the full 9 yards. I met some other guys there. I met 2 of the other media guests. So I met, this guy, Jonathan Sheck. Jonathan Sheck is, as you can tell by the image here, he is Jonah Hex from Legends of Tomorrow.
Oh, okay.
He's also a Baltimore native, apparently, which I did not know. So Jonathan Sheck, I got to tell you, just to keep it simple, he and I only know him from Legends of Tomorrow. I don't really know the guy, which is why I didn't really seek him out. But I just figured I said hi to him, and he was really friendly. And basically, he and I got a chat, and he's a huge Jonah Hex fan. He's not just playing the role, man. He really ingraced himself into the role. Like, I told him, like, you know what, nothing against Josh Brolin, but, Jonah Hex doesn't bring people back to life, so you're doing it right as Jonah Hex on that show, man. It's true, the cowboy with the scarred face and the backstory. And he and I, we got into a really geeky conversation about Jonah Hex and how cool he is. Like, I told him the stuff he didn't know about Jonah Hex, and it was really cool. It was nice. Then I meet this guy here, Joel Stouffer. He's on Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. He plays Enoch, and it's kind of it was his first con. I guess I kind of welcomed there. I didn't really look busy throughout the day, so I don't know if I was like one of the few only people that met him during the whole cons. I was kind of met him there. Got some pictures on my way out. Unfortunately, I can't show them to you, but I got pictures of like Captain America, holding a Peggy Carter compass, which is really awesome because you had there was this Captain America that was there all 3 days, an older man who I believe was like old Steve Rogers on day 1. Day 2, he was in the Endgame Cap thing, but he was holding like he custom made a little compass with Peggy Carter's picture in it, which blew me away. Like I was like, oh my god, look at what you have there. It's awesome. So, I got some group shenanigans. Basically, I had Captain America's fighting Thanos's, and I got in on the pictures, and everything was awesome. So Saturday comes to an end. It's nighttime. I make this discovery. Michelini. So again, while I was seeing David Michelini, I saw this. He had this banner behind him, like David Michelini. It has like all the stuff he did behind him, like a little bit better than what we're using here for the image. It's like a little artwork here. So behind all this, like a lot of the comics they did. Now I, in my infinite wisdom, I said sarcastically, I completely blanked on the fact that he did 2 really historic comics that I had that I did not bring with me on Saturday.
Oh God.
He did Demon in a Bottle, which I forgot that he did. And he did Spider-Man's Wedding. The wedding to Mary Jane.
Yeah.
So basically, I had to get that for Sunday, and again, I had to put myself through the Michelini line shenanigans all over again.
Oh God! All right.
And I realized that Dan Parent was there. Dan Parent is the new guy who's doing the Archie comics. That's why I put a pin in the Jughead thing. So Dan Parent is the guy who's been doing Archie comics for 30 years.
Oh
He
wow.
took
Okay.
he took over the books ever since the last guy retired. So
So
now
I
Dan
probably
Parent,
bought a book from him as my first comic book.
probably, yeah, unless you bought an old one, yeah.
Right. Right.
Yeah, so yeah,
Okay.
the reason Dan Parent's on my radar specifically is I like Riverdale obviously, but I like the the '60s Batman comics, and they did a crossover, Batman '66 meets Archie, and I had those comics. So and he shouldn't be a problem because he had no line whatsoever in the day. So the point being, those are my two guys to get on Sunday, and Sunday goes by really fast as per the goal the whole time. So
Okay.
all right,
Episode
so we
title
have
for
this
Sunday.
uh Sunday. Sunday is 10 years and the ache is still fresh.
10 years and the egg is still fresh.
The ache is still fresh.
The ache.
Yeah, the ache.
Okay. Ooh, cryptic.
Okay, so it's Sunday, and I'm wearing my Captain America shirt, which I bought recently. That says "I'm with you till the end of the line."
Oh my God.
Which, of course, is my favorite Captain America shirt because it is my favorite line from the entire
Dragon,
MCU.
you don't know, man. I really want to one day get a Captain America character at California Adventure to say into my camera, Blue Dragon 5, I'm with you till the end of the line.
That is. So again, that is so. Of course, that's my favorite line in the entire MCU. My favorite Marvel movie in the entire MCU. So it means the world to me. So I wore that. Wore my Captain America shield on my back, little backpack shield.
Uh-huh.
That's going to come in handy more than I ever thought it ever would in life.
Nice.
So I always wear that aesthetically because it looks exactly like the movie Shield, but it's a backpack, and I get in pictures and stuff. So, of course, Sunday, the big goal is my father's with me. Per tradition, my father took me in my first Comic-Con Sunday, years ago. And, every Sunday we go there, and he always kind of joins me. He gets a lot of walking for him, but, he bears it for that day. So let's see. So again, so Sunday, we start with a really good omen where, as you can see by the main image we have here, I see Woody and Bo Peep from Toy Story 4 in line with me. and I get their picture. And it's like it was a good omen to start the day with. Again, a good omen that's about to be circumvented. It's like,
oh no!
So I see Woody and Bo Peep in line, and again, decent placing in line too, because he showed up like about an hour. Basically, we're in that sweet hour spot, and so we're waiting in line. But then the limeys strike. This is where the limeys really come into play. So
bloody limeys!
Yeah, this is where the bloody limeys show up. So the limeys, first off, they were in line, and usually what happens is everyone gets in line. Then as you get close to the showtime, they make sure the line doesn't go like all the way around the place. They corral you in like cattle. They basically move everyone up, so like it becomes like a disorganized mass, which is fine because you're all going to the same place. Point being, we're forming two lines for some reason, like two signal file lines. One limey says,
"Ooh,"
and then the other limey says, "Why are there? You guys don't have to be in two signal file lines. Just need a bunch of." Well, that's not what the other guy said.
Oh no! Okay.
And then it gets worse because then apparently, they're letting us in early. That's an important detail to make. So yet again, letting us in a few minutes early, you think would be a good thing, right?
Yeah,
like 5 minutes or so early, by all means. The guys in my line on the left are stopped. The guys on the right are let in.
Okay, that's not cool.
This is because the limeys were under the impression they were VIPs, of which they were not.
Oh no! Oh,
and I can attest. This is again. They never have VIPs like get in first period, but second, well, again, VIPs are already in. That's the idea. They're let in an hour early. So why would
they be let in 5 minutes early? What's the perk of that?
And you have like this big mountain of a man saying, no, they go first. And like, wait, why do they go first? And it's like,
Jesus Christ.
Gutsier men than I are chewing them out saying, well, that's BS, man. And it's like, I'm behind that guy. I want to say what that guy is, but I'm not saying it. So then anyway, point being, we go down, then it gets worse.
Oh, how
So
could you
we
get
go.
worse?
So first of all, on our way, I'm hearing word that the escalators are broken because many a time, for some reason, the escalators are broken. I bring down like a heavy bag, so I have to carry it because obviously I'm not gonna make the poor father carry a heavy bag down the stairs. So point being, I'm ready. Okay, I'm telling my father, okay, listen. So meet me at the Tom King line. So just basically you hit the escalator, I'll get in line for you. Or essentially, or vice versa. Point being. I find out as we're walking there, the escalators are fake. So I told him all that for nothing because apparently the escalators are working fine.
Okay, okay.
Anyway, so now we're going down the escalators, which are functioning, and we're going down the second level, which basically takes you to the floor. And as we're there, and I'm walking the stairs. They took the escalators, make it easier on my father and his feet and everything. I'm stopped on the way down by a limey. Not just
What
me,
are you telling
everybody
me?
is stopped on the way. This used to happen on like Saturdays, and it used to be like, again, if it's like 10 o'clock and you go down there, or if like it's ridiculous what happened here. Okay, so like we're let down like 5 minutes early, right? So by the time you get there, it's like 2 minutes before 10 o'clock.
Uh-huh.
Limey stops us. The escalator people are still going down, and they're just walking past them. Him not being the wiser, and what they're trying to do is they're trying to sell a yearbook. Is that no one really wants a yearbook? It's like if you've brought nothing to sign, you get people to sign a yearbook full of art and stuff by the creators who are there, and
Uh-huh.
they're basically
Uh-huh.
trying to sell their product for like $30 for a yearbook you really don't need. And they always try to sell it for you, but you're supposed to like they're standing at a stand saying, "Hey guys, buy a yearbook," but no, this guy stopped everybody on the way down and said, "Okay," and basically again, while people, as they can plainly see, people are getting in behind them. So you can imagine, basically, a riot is in the making here over 2 minutes.
Yeah, yeah.
Myself, part of me is like, I'm kind of whispering to people, we outnumber. Let's Black Friday this, man. Let's just trample.
Oh God.
We're basically, I've had it at this point, man. I've had it with these guys in the
Right, right.
disorganization.
Oh
And
God.
it's the fact of like, and basically everyone's like, but they're getting by. This is when they get like the guy, he's being all high and mighty saying, hey, I'm just trying to do my job here and sell you some yearbooks. Like, you're a freaking idiot. I wish I could. I didn't say that because I would want to I want to hedge my bets here. But
Honestly, Dragon, that's one of the rare times I've heard you drop an F-bomb at all.
I didn't drop an F bomb.
Yeah, you did.
I said frickin'.
Oh, it sounded like fucking. All
No,
right.
yeah, no. You can check the video on that one.
Okay.
Anyway, my point is, so we eventually let down. We're eventually let down, and we walk in the place again. I'm going to the Tom King line. I hit it perfectly. So again, it's like I'm the second person in line. Again, early to make sure we don't get like to the wall like last time. So again, so the guys kind of waiting beforehand. Let's see. The point is ridiculously good timing on every front. So again, after that really big hiccup with the limeys, we get in there. You have the Tom King line. Goes by really nicely. Then I get into the Michelini line. Before Tom King even shows up, because again I'm doing the same thing where as I feared before. Okay, I'm gonna wait in the Tom King line. He hasn't even showed. It's like a good hour before he shows up. So I go praying that Michelini's there, and he is. And I get my stuff signed. I hit Michelini pretty good too, so I don't have to worry about like another marathon thing like Saturday.
Mhm.
So get that done. I got the last of my Ty Templeton stuff signed, so I got everything signed. And Ty Templeton even taught my father a few things about comics, which blew me away.
Really?
Yeah, I kind of told him about like how the whole the value of basically they told him like how the old comics got destroyed, and that's why the old comics are valuable because so few of them survived. The whole basic stuff I've told him 100 times, but it means a little bit more coming from somebody else.
Right.
So then I had a really impactful encounter. So get ready, get the inside out tissues on this one, buddy.
Was this the
Boy.
wife?
Well, yeah. Thank you for not letting me forget that because I almost glazed over that. Okay, so this is a redemption. This is not the inside out tissues moment, but this is the wife.
Okay.
So, wife. Apparently, one of the books I brought some collections of like graphic novels. As in books she gets signed, and of course one of those was kind of a Ty Templeton Harley Quinn book,
Mhm.
and apparently she wasn't the artist, but she did. I forget if she did one of the stories within the book or if she was the colorist on. Point she worked in the book and I had no idea. And he says, "Hey, what would you like the other person who worked on this book?" He says, "Yeah, sure." And he basically gives it to his wife and she signs it.
Ah, nice.
So again, there's a payoff there, and she wasn't a problem. So a
Cool.
little bit of a redemption. So then we get the really emotional moment here. The whole thing. Get the inside out tissues ready. So there's an artist. I said hi to him on Friday, and basically as I was getting my Ty Templeton books together, I made a realization. So Dean Hashpiel is an artist I see every year at Comic Con. Nice guy. He's kind of like not a huge name, but again, he's kind of in the Ty Templeton group where he worked on some of the animated series, tie-in comics. Now, he signed my book incorrectly years and years back. He wrote on the front cover, Dino, which is like the shorthand of his name, Dino 2009. And I was figuring, while I'm there, I'm getting Ty Templeton to sign the inside of this thing. Might as well get like Dean Hashfield to sign the inside of it too, and basically date it 2019.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I had a realization. I was wondering, like, man, the whole 20th anniversary of the Baltimore Comic Con. I was thinking, you know what? There's no way. I obviously I haven't been there 20 years, obviously, but my point is, it's been years, and I wondered how many years. It was like 7 or 9 or something. But then I realized I did the math. Like I completely remember the night before I was looking at this book. Like, oh my god, this book was the first thing I bought because I wandered in Comic Con with my father on a Sunday 10 years ago to the day. Well, not to the exact day, but to the Sunday. It was on a Sundays, wandering in with them. And basically, I didn't bring anything to get signed. We just explored the place, bought a few things. And the only book I really bought is, again, the animated series in me. I bought this book, which was like a little mini collection of some tie-in animated series comics. And I met Hashby. Hashby was the first guy I ever met at Comic Con.
Oh, man. Okay.
And I told him this. And we kind of we have a 10-year anniversary. Trippy, right? Well, I mean, he said that we have a 10-year anniversary. It was a really kind of a beautiful thing there. It's a little nice moment.
Yeah. Awesome.
So then my father, he bought some 3D prints from Endgame. Of course, he's the huge Iron Man fan. I'm the huge Cap fan. That's kind of how that goes. But so he, of course, I told you years and years back, like in 2008, a year before this Comic-Con thing, we down in Florida, he and I, we watched Iron Man together in the City Walk Theater, and I made him a comic book fan with that movie.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, so point being, I have the Endgame print. These 3D holographic Endgame prints are basically, you turn them a few different ways. There's one Iron Man doing the snap, Captain America with the shield, the broken shield and the hammer, and Thor with the Stormbreaker. And there's this other print that was my favorite moment from Endgame with, it's the Avengers Assemble thing where it's Cap alone, and you turn it, and it's Cap with everyone.
Oh, that's cool.
So we bought 2 of these prints because they had a deal on them, and we're gonna get them framed. And like he can have one for his Iron Man collection, I can have one for my stuff.
Nice.
So because things were going tremendously well outside of that Limeys hiccup, things went tremendously well this day. I went to both panels. I was hoping to get to 2 panels this day. I went to Tara Strong and Greg Sipes' panel, which was a blast, man. It was an utter blast. So apparently I'm an extra in a movie now because at least I think there is. Because basically, so Greg Sipes' brother is his handler, and Greg Sipes' brother basically told everyone in the panel that Greg is filming. He said a mockumentary. I don't know if it's like a cute little video or if it's actually part of a mockumentary that he's making. I hope it's the latter. That basically Kari Payton, from what I understand, he bailed out of being at this Comic-Con. He canceled. Kari Payton, the voice of Cyborg.
Okay. Yeah.
He was supposed to be, and in Wasabi on Big Hero 6. He was supposed to be here. I had no idea about this, and apparently we were part of an inside joke where they asked us to film something with them, where basically we would say Kari, and we find out Tara Strong and Greg Sipes there. We say, ah, like we all wanted Kari Payton, and it's just them.
Okay.
So basically, I'm kind of an extra in a movie, just in terms of the big crowd shot. Like Kevin Smith usually does this sort of stuff, but I was like blown away. Like, oh god, it's just like complete happenstance. It's awesome.
Right. That's cool.
The point being, the panel was a lot of fun. Let's see. They invited some young voice actors. Like there was like a young voice actor and like a kid who wanted to be a voice actor when he grows up, and he asked him a question about it, and he was brought up on stage to do an audition with him, which was precious. Which then escalated into a dance party where they were all like on stage dancing with Tara Strong, and then ended in a group hug. And it was
hey
crazy.
there, DreamWorks ending.
Yep. But it's crazy, man. Then it escalated into a dance party, then to a group hug, and then the whole thing ended with there was a girl with I think her sister or her friend. In the main image we have here, this girl on the right, this little Nightwing. She had a friend who was dressed as Raven, and the two of them, they're fans of Tara Strong, and basically Teen Titans Go would be my guess. Point being, they're fans of the show. And they made some little basically did exactly like they made a little tribute to her, and apparently they're there at every show with Tara Strong, and Tara remembered them. And I forget if the girl was sick or anything in the past, and they maybe had to recover. I don't know. Point being, they had a moment at the end that was really nice too. Like the group little hug on stage, and like he's like, "Oh, look at this is my little fan. She's a little shy, but she's dressed as Raven, which is who Tara Strong voices, of course." It was precious, man. It was a feel good. It was the feel good panel. One of the best panels I've been to.
Okay.
I took in the Tom King panel. I learned a lot of things because Tom King's a guy I love his writing, but Tom King's one of the enigmatic writers. Where
I just realized, Dragon, we haven't gone into the not nice man yet.
He's right. He's up next.
Okay. All
Okay,
right.
so my point is Tom King. He was I learned a lot from Tom King's panel. Basically, I asked him. That was one of the early questions of the panel. I asked him, "Hey Tom, so what are you trying to say with Batman in the story? Because this whole 100-issue arc of stories of comics you're doing here, and basically going to lay it out like basically the theme is Bane is bad and Batman loves Catwoman, which I love how simple it is. We basically walked into like the elevation of the idea and how it's changed over. That was informative. I'll keep it simple.
Mm-hmm.
It was informative. So then we get to the letdown, and you're gonna be. I don't know if you're gonna know. You might know who this guy is, but I didn't.
Okay.
So honestly, I did this guy kind of for you. I kind of.
Okay. Really.
Okay. So I met. There's this guy. He's there every year, and I kind of never put together who exactly this guy was until all the DuckTales stuff. So Don Rosa. I kind of met Don Rosa, who was an artist on the Scrooge McDuck comics and all the early Disney comics, basically all the Duck-related comics early days. Not a lot of DuckTales, though. He wasn't really. Apparently, he had nothing to do with DuckTales, from what I can tell. But he did a lot of stuff like Huey, Dewey.
Wait, so he's like an old school Scrooge McDuck artist?
Yes, apparently.
Oh
yes.
Man, dude must be old.
That's what I'm saying. He is.
Okay.
So,
okay.
I've seen this guy for a number of years, but I never, again, I think the whole DuckTales all kind of sparked my memory. Maybe I'm going to try to meet this guy this year. I mean, usually whenever you meet somebody at Comic-Con, even if you know nothing about them, you're going to learn something when you go up to them. You're going to, sometimes just say hi, and again, a lot of times they're trying to sell things, not in the sense of like money, but try to sell things like, hey, how you doing? Like, check out some of my artwork, that sort of stuff.
Yeah,
like,
sure.
Kind of the more subtle version of Artist Alley, let's call it. So I walk up, and Don Rose, he had a kind of a crowd before him early in the day. So I figured, okay, I'll come back to Don. He's going to be there all day. If not, well, I tried, and I don't really have a lot of stake in Don Rose. I'd like to meet the guy, maybe learn a little bit something about him, because I know nothing about this man, really. So I walk up to him, and he was the biggest letdown of the whole convention.
Okay.
He was the not nice man.
Give me the story.
So I'm not going to he's not evil. Let me make that clear. He's not an evil man. You're an evil man, to quote Norman. He's not that. But
is he an idea?
Tiki, you would not have lasted with this guy.
Okay.
Do you remember Sandy once mentioned to us his encounter with he had an unflattering encounter with a celebrity? It was like that.
Yeah, kind of. I kind of remember that. Yeah,
it was like that where Don Rose. Basically, I was like waiting for like him to come in for like this, like, hey, how you doing? And then Tiki, it was like meeting a man in quicksand, where I would meet a man, the silences between responses were like you were sinking and you had no idea what to do. Where it's like, geez. So how you doing? And I says, I have like a sign that's like I believe it said something along the lines, I'm not affiliated with DuckTales, so no DuckTales questions. So I'm sure he got a lot of those, but I was like, so you worked on Scrooge McDuck. What do you think of it? And I said, like, I know you're not really into DuckTales questions, but like, how you feel about Scrooge McDuck? And basically, I just tried anything I could think of, just like trying to like get him like the start a conversation here, like start something.
Yeah.
And he gave me nothing, man. I've never felt.
Was he just giving you the silent treatment or what?
I mean, he was smiles, but it was like a guy who just it's like I was dying. It was like I was just like a guy like he looked through me practically. I've never been intimidated by a man I've met at Comic-Con, Tiki. Never in my life, and it was the first time I've ever been like, oh God, I'm sinking, man.
Oh man.
The only time I've ever felt self-conscious at Comic-Con. The only time I felt truly self-conscious, and truly, like, as in, like, oh God, I'm not landing anything here. Point being, the guy was he's really curt with me, and I don't mean curt like, okay, you're saying curt because you're being like really self-important. You say curt. I mean, he was really curt with me, man. I mean, like, just gave me nothing. Like, it wasn't like not a nice word. I'm not saying that wasn't a mean word, but it wasn't a nice word either.
Okay.
I gotta tell you, Don Rosa, I was not out of all the people I would have expected that from. Like the Don Rosa, those like I expect, like he's a Disney artist. You think he'd be a little bit more bubbly, a little bit more. I was expecting a little bit more Floyd Norman. A guy who's done Disney comics has been a little bit more song and dance man.
Not all Disney guys could be song and dance men, Dragon.
I mean, you know what I mean. I wasn't expecting to bounce off the walls. I was expecting like, because you get the guy
Do
always
do
is
do
like,
do. I'm Floyd Norman. Watch me play the piano.
I don't know if it was just me or what. Like any stranger walks up to the guy, beware, because he has like people surrounding him every time I go by, and sometimes he's been there alone, but this time he had people around, so I assumed there were people who knew what they were talking about, or like big fans of the stuff, or like I don't know, he was chatting people up, and I don't know if he just fell on deaf ears for me or what. I don't know.
Wow. Okay.
I don't want to be. I don't know to be harsh on the guy. I don't know if it was just me or what. It's like if you're an average Joe walking up to the guy, know what you're talking about with him. Otherwise, you're gonna be a goner.
Jesus Christ. Oh wow.
I'm saying beware. I mean, that's the thing. Too. You might have a chance with the guy, but I'll warn you, man. I don't know.
Yeah, well, like I said, I don't do cons, so.
All right, so then I met Craig Russo, who again was another kind of animated series tie-in alumni. I'd met the guy before, nice guy, and then I met Dan Parent. So again, everything went fine there. So again, Dan Parent again, basically a little bit like a warmer, more friendly version of a Don Rosa. I know the Archie Batman crossover guy wasn't exactly initiative of conversation, but he was fine.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Anyway, so then this is getting on my way out for Sunday. I'm gonna have to hit you with a big Nolan-esque thing here, which again will be really quick. It'll be quick.
Okay.
So I encounter Buzz.
Oh, all right, all right.
So obviously, I'm armed with information at this point, where I know something about Buzz.
You are. Yes,
and
you are.
I walk by, and I'm just walking by to basically get ready to round out my day here with stuff and get on my way out, sort of things. And I see Buzz, and I'm like, wait a minute, could that be? And I said, hey, how you doing? Are you do you work with Neil Adams? Have you ever worked with Neil Adams? And he says, yeah, I work with Neil. And I didn't interrogate that. I didn't grill the guy because the guy asked me like, don't spread that around. Again, I've kept it honest. I've kept it. Again, I said with a grain of salt. I've kept it with a grain of salt, so I'd say there's some deniability in this story, but still, it's like I investigated the guy, but I asked him like, so you've worked with Neil Adams, and he said yes, but he sounded really friendly and positive about Neil Adams. So he didn't really sound like a sad ghostwriter type. But then again, no one could really say the same about Bill Finger. The guy seemed like perfectly fine with things, but again, might be more going on there. He seemed awfully friendly, so again, that kind of bolstered my Neil Adams opinion. Like, oh, maybe it's just. Again, there's ghost art. Maybe ghost artist isn't always such a dirty word as we look at it now.
Sure.
Again, he seems to have accepted this, whether it's again, maybe it's not like the sad, tragic Bill Finger situation, but it's more like, the guy he's a ghost artist, which sometimes ends. I don't know. So point being, this gave me food for thought. Meanwhile, I'm buying some Legos, which I got Daredevil with the Nelson and Murdoch sign, the Netflix Daredevil, which was really cool. I got Luke Cage with the bullet holes in the hoodie. I got Jesse Pinkman to go with my Walter White I bought last year. I got, of course, after the El Camino of it all as well. Got Mysterio. I got Stan Lee as a Watcher. I got Bullseye, which is apparently really hard to get, Bullseye the horse. And my favorite thing, because I saw that Captain America cosplay, a Captain America Lego with a compass that had Peggy Carter's picture in it, but as a Lego. Which is awesome. All right. So I ended up buying that Neil Adams print that I coveted so much because I said, I'm going to pull the trigger on, you know what, I want the print anyway. And I mean, yeah, it's a little, I don't know, I'm of two minds about Neil Adams now, but I'm going to go for it. And he was perfectly nice and fine. So I like to err on the optimistic side of the Neil Adams thing, but I don't know, maybe ghost artist is not such a dirty word. I don't know. All right. So let's see. So on the way out, I bought a Captain America helmet for my costume. I'm going to wear it for Halloween. So I got that on the way out. I bought the Thanos copter. Matchbox, Hot Wheels. I think it was Hot Wheels. Hot Wheels did this thing where it's Thanos and the Thanos copter, which is this ridiculous thing from the comics. I was so charmed by, oh my god, they made it into a vehicle. That's awesome. And not only that, they put it into a cosmic cube, which he used in that story. Thanos many times used the cosmic cube before he turned it into like a part of the Tesseract and all that sort of stuff. Mm-hmm. So I bought the Thanos copter for a good price, and on my way out, I bought Amazing Spider-Man number 50, which is insane, but I bought it.
Really?
Now, I didn't buy the best quality. I added the four tiers because some of them were in like the thousands category, which obviously I didn't opt for that. But you know what? I pulled the trigger on it. I bought my dream comic. I bought Amazing Spider-Man number 50. It's a graded comic. It's like a protective plastic thing. It's not the highest grade. It's nowhere near a 9, but honestly, I want it just to have it because I love the end.
I feel you. I totally feel you.
Again, it's everything great about Spider-Man 2. It's 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 the first appearance of the Kingpin. It's a really good Spider-Man. It's everything what the Spider-Man character is about. It's like it's a that cover everything. It's like the cover's a little. It's not tattered, but it's kind of like there's a marking on it. So that's why it's so low. That's why it was affordable. Let's say. Anyway, it was the only affordable one out of the four. Let me put this: if I was going to buy one, this is the only one I could possibly buy, and I got to let it slip through my fingers once, and I finally saw it. You know what? I'm going to go for it, and I did. So, but then, so on my way out, it's pouring rain.
Okay.
And I have a long walk to get to the parking garage, and I only have so much room with my bags. Thankfully, though, two things. So, of course, my Captain America bag for once came in handy, where I felt like I was carrying some super valuable cargo. I put in, well, I was. The Amazing Spider-Man number 50 was in my Captain America backpack.
Oh yeah, for sure.
So it kind of saved, it kind of protected the Spider-Man thing.
Nice,
so it was
nice.
That was great. And I had thankfully my Captain America helmet that I bought. You gotta remember, it's kind of latex. It's kind of not latex, but it's kind of like a hard. It's a with that because it would have absorbed all the water from the rain and everything. So I had like a little plastic like little bag to put it in. So there was that. So long walk. It's rain. You don't want to end Comic Con on rain. So I'm going to El Camino this ending right now.
Okay.
I'm going to El Camino this puppy. So let me. Here we go. I'm going to flashback. I took in another con.
Did you really?
2 weeks ago, before the Comic-Con, I took in another con on a Sunday. So Tiki.
Say what?
Yes. So right, you ready for this? So again, we're gonna El Camino this ending.
Okay.
So I took in the Monster Mania con. I was at my comic shop and there was this flyer, and basically the flyer lists all the guests at the con, and I was like, you know what? There were 2 guests on this thing that I could not pass up. So you know what? Hunt Valley isn't as far as I assumed it was. It's actually close by, and I figured I'm not going to do all 3 days, but I'm going to do Sunday. And Tiki, it's been 10 years, as I told you earlier, been 10 years since I went to a convention on a Sunday, just went in completely blind to a convention with my father. So again, he's a big monster fan. Of course, he accompanied me during this thing. So I wore my Queen-style monster shirt. Basically, it's the classic 4 monsters, Mummy, Dracula, Frankenstein, and Wolfman, basically, but they look like the Queen poster with the 4 heads. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm wearing that. So it's Hunt Valley at the Delta Hotel. Let me put it this way: Delta is very appropriate for the big guest. Let's see. So I had a mission to hit 2 people in particular. The first one, big one, the reason I went to the thing was Bruce Campbell.
Oh man. Okay. Yeah, that's a reason to go to a con.
I love Ash versus Evil Dead. I love Bruce Campbell as a whole, man. So I told you there was a second thank you letter. This was the second thank you letter.
Nice.
Technically, it was the first because this happened 2 weeks before, kind of like. But you know what I mean.
What? Screw it. You're telling me the story at the end. So, like, in terms of like the editing, and it's the second.
Exactly. So, all right. So I'm meeting Bruce Campbell, and everything was. I had to time this just right because Bruce Campbell, as you can imagine, is a huge draw. He was the big draw of the whole convention.
Oh yeah.
So I had to time this just right. So I found out that basically his photo ops, which I really wanted a photo op. Honestly, I wanted the photo more than an autograph, but unfortunately, the photo sold out. It sold out previously, but the autographs are sold at the show and only at the show. You can't buy the autographs in advance, assuming someone cancels at the last minute.
Right.
Anyway, so I had to get there early, really early, to buy a ticket because he caps it off at like 250 people. So I had to be one of those 250 people to get there and buy a ticket for the autograph. So I had to get there at a certain time before things. Basically, the show starts at 9 o'clock. I think 9 o'clock. Point being, I had to be there. I need to be there at a good time. I don't want to get into the specifics, but So I left early, and we're using the GPS because we've never been to Hunt Valley, and the GPS essentially doesn't tell us to make a certain turn. That logically you're saying, I should turn here because it looks like we should turn here. GPS, it was going great up until that last point where it didn't register the turn. And we had a mini version of that Comic-Con thing where we were taking time is of the essence, and we left early enough to get there at a decent time, but still it wasn't looking good because we had no idea where we were going. We had to turn, basically go off like the exit that we went on to. So that's a long ways out of our way. And like I'm thinking, oh God, if it gets up to, I don't know if it's going to cap off at 400, 250. And I'm worried if it's 250 and it was 250.
Yeah.
So again, so I'm stressing out, man. So we finally get there, and the first thing I'm looking for is okay, where do I buy the Bruce Campbell tickets? Because they said there are going to be people at the lobby to help. Because this is held at a hotel, which again, that's how the Comic Cons used to start. And this is a monster con. I've never been to one of these things, so I had no idea where the lay of the land is at all. As much research as I can. The maps are crap for this thing, by the way. But anywho, so I get there and I bought a ticket, and just by sheer luck, here's what happened. I go there and I walk to the room where Bruce Campbell's going to be, and I asked, "Hey, where do I buy the Bruce Campbell tickets?" Right here. And apparently, I think what happened is the guy didn't notice a line. I don't know if the line formed, but I assume it did because there was a giant line formed for people buying the Bruce Campbell autographs, and I think they jumped me in front of the line. So I was able to get in there, and I bought my autograph ticket. So I basically I was covered. I basically just had to get in line and you know kind of get the thing signed and everything. So it was I just lucked out in that regards. I was in there like if it capped off at 250, I was like let's say 121. I think it was 121. Point being, I cleared that, so I was in line again, focused on Bruce Campbell for the other guys. Bruce Campbell, I was going to get the other guys. So I was in line, I was chatting up some Bruce Campbell fans who were gushing about Campbell. I'm like, well, and chicks dig Bruce Campbell. If you know that already, they love the man. I love that. I love that they love the schlubby version of Bruce Campbell too. They love the Bruce Campbell from Burn Nose, like Bruce Campbell in Hawaiian shirt, just kind of like chilling in Miami. They love that version too.
Right.
God, I love it. I adore Bruce Campbell. So I wrote him, wrote him a thank you. They basically talked about the ending of Ash versus Evil Dead, which I really liked and appreciated. And I also I loved some smaller appearances that he did, like he's in certain movie. Like I basically said, I love it when you show up Bruce Campbell in things. I love it when you just pop up in things when you don't expect it. It's great. I love how you really bring it with each role. You don't do it halfway. So so let's see. So I get there and I'm finally in the room and they have like the selection of pictures you pick from. Mm-hmm. And there are two I'm torn between. There's this is my boomstick photo, which I like, but they're almost as if it was Destiny, Tiki. There was one photo that stuck out to me. It was the ending of Ash vs. Evil Dead, which I put in my letter, which is the big one, right? Which I love because essentially the ending of Ash vs. Evil Dead is the way they wanted to end Army of Darkness, which I thought that was so cool. Like they got to end on their own terms in a sense. It's still a cliffhanger, but it's a cliffhanger that they actually got to have. So, and there was like a photo with him and the car, and it's him in the Delta, hence the Delta Hotel. Get it? Anyway, the point Sam Raimi's car that Sam Raimi puts in every movie. Sam Raimi puts two things in every movie he does: Bruce Campbell and the Delta. This car and Bruce Campbell in this image had both of those things in it. And basically, I was a little starstruck by Bruce Campbell. We didn't have like a long interaction, but I tell you though, he read my mind. He was that in tune with things. The man was wearing sunglasses. I don't know what it is. All the great interactions are by men with sunglasses and cool hair. So walk in the room, Bruce Campbell, and he basically reads my mind because he knows exactly what I'm thinking when I pick this image. Yes, onward and upward to greater things with this image. Basically, kind of what the feeling of that image is. And it's like, I told him like everything I want to say is in this letter, so just thank you for everything. I shook the man's axe hand. I shook the man's chainsaw hand, so to speak. And it was minimal, but it was great. I wish it was a little longer, but I got to be honest, I got everything I wanted out of it though. The man read my mind. What more can I ask for?
Right, nice.
Then I met almost done here. I met Kane Hodder. Kane Hodder, of course, the best of the Jasons. Of course, I've been acquainted with Friday the 13th this year. I watched I told you about that Hell and Back documentary that Kane Hodder did on Amazon about the man's life.
Is that the one that's like even longer than the Nightmare on Elm Street one?
Well, no. I mean, I watched that too, but I'm saying like the one I keep recommending to you is on. I recommend them both to you. So that's there's Camp Crystal Lake Memories. So Camp Crystal Lake Memories is the one that's longer than Nightmare on Elm Street.
Okay. The
other thing on Amazon though, it's all about Kane Hodder. Is Hell and Back, the Kane Hodder story. That's riveting, man. That's like that's a story. Gotcha. The point is, I met Kane Hodder. There was relatively no line at all. He was great. I got to tell you though, it was the last day of the con for him. He dressed up on Saturday, from what I understand. I wasn't able to see him Saturday, But I in the documentary, I was warned that Kane Hodder, when he meets you, he'll do this chokehold on you, man. And I was like preparing my neck for it. Okay, he's gonna go for it when you do the picture. I did a picture with him, and he did not. He didn't do it. I thought, oh man, I hope he's feeling all right. He was sitting down. He was really, I don't know. I don't know if he's winded or just tired or what.
Right.
Let's see. I met Keith David.
Cool.
By the way, I got this exact image signed. By the way, which is really cool. I told him I loved his. I told him I loved his. I pulled an obscure reference with Keith. I told him I loved his role in CSI, which he knew exactly what I was talking about. And he said, "Oh, thanks for that," because he did this guest spot on CSI back in the day, where basically he played a father who lost his daughter, and I thought it was such a really great emotional scene that he did. And he was like, "Oh man, thanks for that." So he was super cool. Let's see. I met Norm. George Wendt. Norm.
Oh God. Cool.
Yeah. It was a brief interaction, but I said I quickly popped my head in. I said, again, it gets really pricey, so I couldn't get a picture or anything with him. But it's like, hey, how's it going? It's I want to say I loved your work on Cheers, and thanks for dropping by. And lastly, let me lead you through this one here. Okay. So
time.
I know we're at the finish line here. We're at the finish line. So Matthew Lillard.
Okay.
Now there's a PS to this. There's an awesome PS to this. Okay, so
all right.
I'm in the line for Matthew. Okay, this is the last big story of the evening here. This is the last one. Okay, so
yeah, Matthew Lillard. I got to admit, that's like probably even more exciting than Bruce Campbell for me personally.
Okay, so I was unsure. I was like, okay, I'd like to meet Matthew Lillard, but obviously Bruce Campbell's my focus here. If I can, he'll be my third tier guy, because after Kane Hodder, it's Matthew Lillard. So things are working out for the day so far. So I go to Matthew Lillard. He's kind of my last guy of the day. I'm in line for him, but his line goes out the door, man. He goes out the door. Again, this is a hotel, and out of the door in the hotel that goes to this like room that leads you can basically walk outside, and it's like this, and it's like this. It's like this dilapidated, creepy, spooky side of the hotel. It's all really creepy.
Hey, appropriate.
It is. Usually you're waiting. There's like cobwebs, and it looks really
kind of ambiance dragon. It's
on
like
the precipice. It's on the precipice of rain. It's like, yeah, it is a pre-show. So I'm there. I'm chatting with a lady about Bruce Campbell on the way down. It's like, and then Matthew Lillard's, basically we're just kind of like, passing the time by. So I'm like second to. Point being, like I'm right about it. I'm about to not be from outside. I'm about to be inside the room where he's at this table, all the way inside in the building. So I'm about to be next. I'm about to be let into Nirvana, let's say. So I'm then stopped saying, yeah, he's got to go on break. And I know for a fact he wasn't supposed to go on break until like a half an hour later, because they basically botched up what is his photo op. He's supposed to break to go take photos with people.
Okay.
But he didn't. But basically, they took him out earlier than he was supposed to. I was supposed to be next, essentially. I was like right about to enter, and then they cut me off. So what happened was they marked my little bracelet down. So you're gonna be second. So I'm writing little number 2 here. You're gonna be the second in line once it's like half an hour or so passes. So time passes. In the meantime, I meet somebody. I meet somebody who I was completely shocked by. I meet Roger Jackson. Do you know that name?
Sounds slightly familiar.
Roger L. Jackson. Ring any bells?
No.
Okay, so that's fine. So Roger Jackson, as far as I knew, was the voice of Ghostface from Scream. He was, and I remember like the True Hollywood Stories always did this thing where they put him in shadow because they never met the guy. He did record all his lines on the phones. It was like, we don't know who voiced Ghostface, and of course eventually they would reveal it was Roger Jackson. So I on the website I didn't read like all his other credits, and when I went there, I kind of learned while I was in line for Matthew Lillard that Roger Jackson also did the voice of a cartoon character we're very familiar with. He did the voice of Mojo Jojo.
That's cool.
So I'm just meeting the guy, and I told him like, oh, I love your work as Mojo Jojo, and did the voice and everything. It was awesome. So then Matthew Lillard shows up, and he was everything you could ever want him to be. He was very cool. You got a photo with him. Got this basically this exact image I'm pulling up here. Got that. And really, that's all she wrote. It's everything went well there. So again, we ended on a happy note. Again, not a rainy. Like then he walked home in the rain. He walked out meeting Matthew Lillard, and it was cool. That's it. That's all she wrote. So that's my con experience. A little bit. I got a double dose of con. I've never done 2 cons ever in a year. Let alone if it was the only other con I've done outside the Comic Con. So
Yeah, sounds like you got a lot done without kind of diving into it on a Sunday, kind of fresh. So props to you there. Yeah, sounds like a good trip, Dragon, filled with peril and stress, but nonetheless, it seems like outside of that weird encounter with the Donald Duck guy, you didn't really have anything too overly negative happen.
yep. Few limeys and Don Rosa aside, everything went pretty good.
So sounds like a successful con. All right.
That it was. That it was.
Okay, folks. So, Dragon, I've actually, first week of February is when I am flying back to Orlando. So maybe we'll do a trip report after I get back. Who knows? Anyways. All right, folks. Thanks for listening. See you later. Goddamn limeys!
Limeys.